Billionaire John Hammond has built a monumental theme park featuring real-life dinosaurs cloned from ancient DNA found in prehistoric mosquitoes. When he invites a group of scientists to inspect and sign off on the park, the combination of a hurricane and a disgruntled IT guy opens the gates and unleashes the dinosaurs. Can the humans best the dinosaurs in the ultimate man versus nature situation? Or will nature's original apex predators claim the island for their own in the 1993 classic Jurassic Park? I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Caleb Boucher.
and this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. Our anniversary episodes continue with one of the most celebrated movies of all time, Jurassic Park, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. For a time, it was the highest grossing movie ever made until Titanic showed up. It spawned a 6-film franchise with multiple video game and TV spin-offs, but none of these sequels ever came close to capturing the excitement, intensity, and grandeur of that first film. And I understand this is your favorite movie. Why is that?
It's really like the best way to describe it is the complete is a line from the movie when Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character goes, first it's ooh, oh, and everyone's running and screaming. It's really that, to me, in the essence of that, captures why I've loved this film since I was a kid. It invites you to be just taken away and just blown away by what you're seeing. Like, dinosaurs are back. You're seeing dinosaurs on screen. Like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it makes that switch. And as a kid that was getting into horror, like it was a perfect gateway because I could watch this movie and really fall in love with these characters and really enjoy the story being told before we get to the halfway through T-Rex attack, the movie, shifts gears scene and all hell breaks loose, to the point that I remember, like, I wore this thing, and also the second one, because like we had a VHS when I was a kid of both the first two films. I wore both those tapes out. But I used to have it like ingrained in my head when the T-Rex scene came up. Like I would, like, if I had to, like, use the bathroom or anything before that, but I was like sitting down locked in when the T-Rex scene came on. Like, I was not gonna get peeled away. And onward, and it's just like it's a film that just completely captivates me every time. Even now, I'm not going to get into the details of it here on the recording, but some personal stuff that's kind of happened recently, that I'm good now, obviously, but at the time kind of put me in a real funk, to say the least. I wasn't in a real good mental headspace there for a second, and watching this made me like escape and made me forget for like 2 hours. I went back to being a kid. And so the fact that I can do that, and it's like my go-to like happy film when I'm feeling down, I'm just in a weird funk or whatever, like I know I can go to this and nothing matters for me anymore for 2 hours. I'm fully immersed. My problems go away, the issues I'm having go away from the moment the film starts to the moment the credits roll. So yeah, I adore this film. I very much say the greatest film of all time, and is my favorite film.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love when we get to do someone's favorite movie. And this is the third time on the overall history of this show that we've covered Jurassic Park. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We could do Jurassic Park every week and have something else to say. It really is an endlessly rewatchable, entertaining, groundbreaking film. The mixture of CGI and animatronic that had never really been done to this effect still looks incredible. This film's 30 years old and it looks better than all the rest of the films of the franchise, because you put Steven Spielberg and Michael Crichton and Stan Winston in a room together, you're going to get something amazing.
Oh yeah, and even people like Philip Tippett and stuff, who were worried their animatronics would want to be featured once we'll get into it, the production, when the CGI stuff was being used, but they used both in such a smart way. It makes the film work that much better. And yeah, them coming together, just they made this extremely magical film, in my opinion.
Oh, extremely. My favorite little tidbit about Phil Tippett, his in the credits he's listed as dinosaur supervisor, which is an awesome job description. But he's been memed to death with people basically saying like, "You had one job, Phil. People died. Why weren't you supervising the dinosaurs?"
Yeah, he's he's an interesting character. He came out with a movie, his directed, director, I think debut, or a film he directed called Mad God that he spent like I think he said like 30 years on and off
Yeah.
making. Um, I believe around the time Jurassic Park when he was working on this because it's stop motion. He said he kind of did it onto the side between gigs. It was really good, and he the last drive-in, but Joe Bob did on the recent season, on the past season, I should say. They showed Mad God, and he was on there. He was being interviewed by Joe Bob, and he's an interesting dude. He was like he's very straight to the point now, and like just like yeah, I made this. Yeah, I worked on Jurassic Park. Like he's at the point where he's like really old and just like yeah,
I get it. All these guys, when they reach a certain age, they just, I won't say they hate talking about their achievements. They're just tired of it.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but this film, to be involved in this film had to have been just a joy on all fronts. Everyone involved could tell that you're making something that's going to last forever. And I bet that, that feels incredible when you're working on a movie and you have that realization of like, this thing's going to be important. You're not just on some, 2004 rom-com, you're working on Jurassic Park and you just have this feeling of like people are going to talk about this movie forever. It's got to be cool.
Yeah, they when I was watching the bonus features for it, and again, mind you, the bonus feature was reported from the Blu-ray release in like 2011, and I was watching on the 4K recent release. So they just poured them over, but even then, like, okay, and Star Wars fans, calm down now. I won't just take a chill pill before I say this name. Kathleen Kennedy. Um, he was a producer on the film. Uh, her and a lot of them made that comment that they said once they started seeing the dinosaurs on screen through the post-production process and they were seeing the film kind of come together, they said like, and most of the time they'll be straight up with you, no, you don't know you're making something that's going to stand the test of time. You're just trying to make a movie. They did say in this case, because of, and I'm sure we'll get into in the production, because CGI wasn't being really used at this time. Like this film is very cutting edge for the CGI. It's a very known fact about the film that when they were seeing it come together, even they had that moment of like, we are making something special. Like they said you could just start to tell by seeing this film that this is something that is special. But again, I feel like what also helped was like when I was watching that, something I really appreciated that I know we've kind of talked about negatively, unfortunately, with the current state of filmmaking, and how the studios at least work. I'm not going to come at the indies. I think that's actually a lot of still great stuff going on the indie side of things. But one thing you could tell from everyone aboard, especially Spielberg, was every single person involved was doing this with passion and heart. And Spielberg came at this as like from a child's perspective, like I wanted to make this dinosaur film because I like dinosaurs, and that to me speaks volumes in why this film has lasted as long as it has. Because you got people that for lack of a better term, gave a shit and they cared and they were passionate and they wanted to make this film that lasted and people loved, and it paid off. I mean, here we are 30 years later, still talking about it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in another 30 years, in our 60 years. It's going to be that kind of film.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I know I say this a lot, but I really do believe this. The secret ingredient to a great movie is love. If everyone cares, you can tell. The audience can pick up on that immediately, and they can tell that they're watching a labor of love. I certainly can, and I know I'm not alone on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. This is a film I always enjoy watching. It's a film that as soon as I'm done watching it, I can put it back on and enjoy it again. It's flawless. It's beautifully written. It's hilarious. It's scary. It goes all over the place, and most of all, it's fucking magical. It really does show the majesty of these creatures in a way that, like, it's not the first time that dinosaurs have been in a movie, but it is easily the greatest. time. Like they've never been portrayed like this. It's usually stop motion Ray Harryhausen T-Rex or something, but this was a real animal that you felt was in the moment with these actors, and that's all credit to that goes to Stan Winston, in my opinion. Like that dude fucking showed up for Jurassic Park.
Stan, Stan Winston and the guys at IOM, obviously now they're like, Shoreline Magic, for those of you don't know. Now they're one of the biggest players in the game, but they were early. This was early years for them. So between them and Stan Winston, they both stepped up. Obviously Stan Winston stepped up his game when they saw that they were doing CGI. So they were like, hey, we got to make sure we're showing up then for these practical effects that we're doing for the puppets and for the animatronics. Which granted, the animatronics were a little bit more to Phil Tippett. But I mean, IRM was no slouch either. Like they could have easily been like, we don't give a shit. We'll just CGI some dinosaurs. Who cares? But they gave a shit, and they stepped up and said, no, we're going to make realistic dinosaurs and show you what we can do at the time with these state of the art computers to wow you.
One of my favorite quotes about Jurassic Park, it came from the Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments countdown. Jurassic Park made, I think, number 93 on the list, and it was the Raptor kitchen sequence. But Stan Winston was interviewed on that. He said, "We did not make scary dinosaurs. We made real dinosaurs." I'm like, fuck yeah, Stan. Preach. Just,
yeah,
that's why this one above, compared to the rest of the franchise, this one just has a different thing going on. There's a different glow about this movie that the other 5 do not have.
Yes, especially Dominion, which can suck my dick still. God, I still hate that movie. It's Crime Against Humanity, in my opinion. So after the Regal pre-show that finally got canceled. Oh, thank God.
Oh, the fucking like the movie quote thing. Oh, I hated that so much.
Yeah. Apparently Regal finally canned it, thank God. So humanity's been saved in one aspect, but we still got fucking Locust in a Jurassic World movie, so I guess we can't always win. No, yeah, and there's one of my favorite pros. I hope don't if I'm about to say your thunder, please let me know, because I know we're going to talk about the production. But me, when it comes to this film, it's hard to contain myself. One thing to me that really just exemplifies like the movie making of this film and like what they were going for is when they were doing the T-Rex scene at the end, right? Which wasn't the original ending of the film. There was a different ending planned. And it was Spielberg's idea to say, like, ooh, we really like the T-Rex. It's kind of becoming the star of the show. Like, why don't we end with the T-Rex saving the day? And I think it was like the production designer or the script, one of their crew members that he was sharing this idea with was like, oh, that's a good idea. He's like, but he's like, Steve, how are we going to get the T-Rex in there? And he made a point. He goes, he meant, how are you going to get the T-Rex in the building? It's good old Spielberg basically didn't give 2 shits, and he immediately was just like, oh, so I got it all planned out. So we're going to have the Raptor get ready to jump, and then from the top of the screen, you just see the T-Rex come in and get him. And he was like, he could realize, he goes, oh, he didn't get what I meant. He's talking about how to get the T-Rex into the shot. And I'm like, exactly. Because at the end of the day, Spielberg knows, ultimately, who cares? If you get people invested in these characters in your story, no one's going to nitpick the T-Rex somehow was able to get into a building Shrimp got into. Because at that point, you're invested, you're on board. You're sitting there going, oh shit, how are they going to get out of this? They're fucked, they're screwed. And then you see it and you're like, fuck yeah, the T-Rex, yes. Like, I remember being a kid being excited for something, like, oh my God, like, I didn't question as a kid, like, how did the T-Rex get in there? I was happy. I was like, oh yes, T-Rex for the win. And like it, and like, because like the worst thing you can do is make a film that you're not invested in, and then you do make those nitpicky questions, right? Like, how did the T-Rex get in there? Oh, interesting. You can get through the gate, but then there's an 80-foot trap all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like, things that, like, if you're bored, you could do, but like, if you're smart, like Spielberg knows, and you give people a characters to care about and a story to get invested in, you can make those kind of mistakes, those continuity errors, and no one's really going to actually give a shit. We'll joke about it, but no one's going to give a shit.
No, and that is funny because like I never really have thought like, how the hell did he get in there? But Yeah, it doesn't matter because at that point, when the banner flies down, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, tied with that roar, like all you're doing is just you're not even blinking. You're so in awe of what's happening right now. You're so into it. You don't give a shit. You're not thinking about anything but that's a cool dinosaur. And
Yeah, I mean, you're not wondering, hey, what's the hole in the damn wall, or why did no one hear the T Rex come in?
how did they not see it? They're looking right in that direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, this movie has that. Spielberg's right. If you can get the audience on board with investment in character and story, you can do anything, and they will not question it. It's true.
yeah, yeah. You think a little like fucking like God? I would say maybe 3, 4 year old, maybe when I first saw this, maybe. Me was questioning any of that. No, I was so into the movie. I was like, whoa, big
Yeah,
dinosaur just took out small dinosaur.
it's power. Uh, so let's move on to I have a question for you. So this movie's very much about science trying to play God and trying to manipulate nature in a way that is arrogant and wildly impossible to control. As we see across this whole franchise, that's a recurring theme. These scientists at InGen thinking they know what they're doing and finding out they fucking don't, but never learning from it. And I'm wondering, in real life, do you think that scientists must act in the face of possible scientific advancement, regardless of consequences? Do you think that they have an obligation to pursue growth or some kind of advance in life, whatever it may be, even if it might be a huge mistake?
No, I don't. I don't think they do. I think as we're seeing with the AI issue, that's a fucking to me red flag. Like we don't need to advance it that much towards taking actual human beings' jobs. That's ridiculous. Not to sound like the fucking South Park people, they took your job. Um, but we don't need to, there's certain things we don't need to do. And I always say that like I'm a big fan of science and I'm a big fan of like ways to better our lives. Like, hey, if we can do cybernetic body parts, sign me up. That's pretty fucking awesome. Um, and there are cool things I think we can do, but I do think yes, when you start getting to the realm of playing God and talking about things like AI, and I know we have the ability, or we're damn close to being able to bring dinosaurs back in real life. Um, but when you start getting to that area where call it God, call it nature, call it what you will, but it's like they say in the movie, nature, said, "Hey, their time is done. They are gone." What goddamn right years removed do we have to say no, no, it's not, we're going to play God, we're God, goddamn it, and we're going to bring them back. Now granted, we would have had a really fucking awesome last film in the Jurassic World franchise that were explored that idea, but so they did Locust, but he was keeping track. But God, you can't tell how much I hate Dominion. I despise Dominion. No, I think when it comes to the playing God aspect, that's when I think we're going too far. And I think we're seeing that with AI a bit. Where we're like, how far can we get this, advance and things like that. I I think that's when we're pushing our luck, and we need to kind of like not go that far. I think that's to me that's the line. Like, don't play with things that you know nature or religion or whatever it may be that's deemed that thing not necessary in a way or gone. Don't mess with that. Like, don't fuck with that.
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I agree to an extent. I have family who worked in the government and oversaw some pretty interesting biological things. So hearing about that and thinking like, do we need to weaponize viruses that can wipe out all of mankind? Why are we doing that? Why are we building atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs that can blow up the planet 40 times over? We don't. What are we gonna what are we gonna do with that? What does that do besides just, scare us? Not everything, not every idea needs to come to fruition. because sometimes it's just all it does is hurt people or, you know, threaten to hurt people. And I just wonder about that. Like, there's somebody out there who had the idea, like, we could put, you know, if we put, like, made the common cold, like, we took the common cold and made it as, like, took the contagion factor and, like, applied it to, like, Ebola and dropped it over a village in Europe, that'd be the most devastating illness in mankind's history. And you can do that. There are scientists out there working on super viruses just for no reason other than weaponizing it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, I do think that science, like, could step back sometimes and just not make something happen. Maybe we don't need to clone animals that have been extinct for 65 million years. Maybe we don't need to make bombs the size of the moon. Maybe we could just not do that. Maybe,
Yeah, like what purpose?
go ahead.
Sorry, keep on. No, it's just awkward silence.
Yeah, we're
I was just
experiencing
gonna say,
kind
like,
of
yeah, why do we need to like do these things?
I don't know. I think a lot of it's just like Goldblum says it best in the movie. You thought so, but you were so preoccupied with whether or not you could, you didn't stop to think if you should. And that's the big thing with scientific advancement is, can we do this, not should we do this? No one ever thinks about that until it's too late. Like we saw that in
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, which you have yet to watch, where, you know, the idea
I've
of
really
like,
stuck it.
yeah, you really, yeah, he's every day he's like, why didn't he watch my movie? He's every day, yeah, he's so bummed. But in the movie, J. Robert
He's gonna knock
Oppenheimer
down
is
my door.
he's brought into this project to build a bomb that shatters the atom and can win the war against the Japanese. And of course, we all know he builds the bomb, he tests the bomb, they drop the bomb, and only then is he like, "Holy shit, what have I done?" Because you feel the blood on your hands at that point, and it's amazing it takes somebody that long to realize I'm making a weapon capable of wiping out an entire city, and I'm building it for people who are certainly going to use it. Where's your moral compass at that point? It's only after people die that these people are like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. We see that in Dominion, your favorite movie, where Dr. Wu is finally like, I regret doing all this because a lot of people have died. And then he just gets to walk off into the sunset with a severance package, which I didn't think was fair. But
No, nothing in that film was fair. Fucking piece of shit film.
at least Dodgson got taken out by the frilly dinosaur.
I didn't care about dodging one bit because I forgot about him past this movie. I didn't care.
Well, I read both books, and Lewis Dodgson's a much bigger character in those. So I was after I read the book and I watched Jurassic Park again, I remember thinking like, I wish they'd done something with Dodgson. And then I saw Dominion, and I had the same reaction that fucking Newman had. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here. Like that's what I thought. So
I didn't even care. I was like, oh, the guy.
I didn't hate Dominion as much as I kind of liked Dominion. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I know you disappoint me in that regard. Terrible film. It's the only Jurassic Park film I actually actively like hate. Even like 3, I can find enjoyment out of. I know a lot of people don't like 3, but like Dominion is just a piece of crap. Yeah, no, and that's I think what the beauty of like to me like essentially most of this film is that beyond the the scariness of dinosaurs, it asks a lot of prescient questions that still ring true today. Because yeah, when you hear about these things they're doing scientifically, you sit there and you wonder, we're doing all these things that can kill the human race. Like we're literally our own worst enemy. What about doing things to help? Where's like, can we not come up with a way to end things like world hunger and living longer? If you were, that does kind of get into that like playing with God territory, if you will, depending on how they go about that. But things like that, right? Like why can we do all these things that destroy, but we can do nothing that helps? We have no way to help out, bring in, getting more trees faster or something, or like talking about extinct animals, and they make a point of it in Jurassic Park where they're like, well, if you could bring back this animal, and Goldblum says it, he goes, "There's a difference between a natural selection extinction, basically, and like a man-made one." He goes, "Yeah, a man-made one. Yeah, fuck it. Why not bring it back? We caused it to go extinct anyway."
True, true. Scientists are constantly playing Old Testament God, play New Testament God. You know, I don't know. But
Yeah, play the cool one that was like way happier.
yeah, everyone mellows out when they have kids. But yeah, it is just, if I knew how to do that shit, I would. If I somehow woke up tomorrow with like a genius intellect with like, 7 Harvard degrees, and suddenly I understood, oh, I could stop, I could cure death. Like I figured that out. Like I figured it out. I know how to cure death. No one will ever have to die again. Should I? Is that what we want? Like on paper, it's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. But after, 100 years, some people need to die.
I'm gonna die. Do you really want to live that life? Like, look, if there's one thing I've learned from watching like fantasy shows with like, characters that live like forever, it's really not worth it. Like, eventually, you're like, you want to die and not be on this earth anymore. You're like, oh my god, give me that sweet experience. I'm done. Especially because, I mean, granted, fantasy shows like to play up the idea of like this like immortal being in love with someone that's mortal. So then it really plays up that factor. Like, do you really want to live forever? Because with someone that doesn't, you'll still be around, but they won't.
Well, I just, if I my point is that if I had the ability to do something incredible for the world, whether or not it's good or bad, it would be hard not to do it. So I think, for scientists, people who have that eureka moment where they figure something out that no one ever has and they want to do it, I get it. I think you got to bounce that idea off somebody else.
Yeah. Give it to like bounce that off a regular person. I think in a year go like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good useful thing. I'll be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, bounce it off somebody with, bounce it off a left brain person who thinks with their heart.
Yeah, you know what? Bounce it off me. I'll give you a very honest reaction.
Okay. Well, that was very uh
We can make this virus that can take out a. We can make this virus that takes out a whole population. I'll be like, actually, so not a good idea, but can we centralize it more? I have an address. Can we? I have an idea. Just go with me on this.
good question. Yeah, that was a fun conversation. Very ethical dilemma, big ethical dilemma with that. Let's talk about how Jurassic Park came about. Jurassic Park began as a novel by our favorite monkey obsessed wacko Michael Crichton. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to the Beyond the Bad episode on Congo we did a long time ago, where we found out Michael Crichton is a few monkeys short of a pack.
Look, he was gonna get that monkey, damn it, or walk. And I think, goddamn it, he got that monkey for a little bit.
The man wanted a real monkey to star in Congo and insisted that if he doesn't get that, he's off the project. And studio was kind of like, what? Because that's the kind of response you have when a famous author tells you they want a real monkey to star in their movie about intelligent monkeys. But that was later. This is back when Congo, the movie, had not happened yet, and Crichton was still pretty sane.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he was like, yeah, it's like the Planet of the Apes films, and they're like, they just look at him like, do you think they used real apes in the Planets of the Apes films? Like, well, of course they did.
I'm picturing him in like the audition process and him being like, all right, I don't know how we're going to track down a velociraptor, but I have some pretty good leads. I'll take that. So I'll take the dino actors. Steve, you audition the humans. I can get a stegosaurus. I know a guy. I can get a triceratops here in 3 days. And Steve's like, what? Are you okay, Mike? Do you want some water? Yeah, that episode completely destroyed my my opinion of Michael Crichton was so crazy. Every time I see his name now, I just think that man's a nut job.
That was one of my favorite things with that show was like, especially with these films that have like not great reputations nowadays. You always found something that made you go, wait, what the fuck were they wanting? And that was that one for it.
That was the best. Okay. The novel was first published in 1990, and the film rights were bought before the novel even came out. Everyone kind of figured this would make a good movie back when he was just pitching the idea. He wrote a sequel in 1995 titled The Lost World, which became the second movie in 1997. Both books are pretty different from the movies. A lot more R-rated, a lot more violent, a lot more cynical about things. John Hammond is effectively the bad guy of the first book. Uh, they swapped that out. And Michael Crichton co-wrote the screenplay with David Koepp, so he said 20 to 30% of the book became the screenplay. They had to tone it
Yeah,
down.
they talk about how they tone it down to make it something that like the whole fantasy, which based off the bonus features I was watching, didn't seem to affect my client too much. He seemed to be pretty on board with that idea to like tone it down and make it a little bit more of like a action adventure. Because I think Spielberg even said when he first went on board, he was thinking this was going to be, this like kind of going back to the days when they did like the Lost World and stuff back in the day, not to be confused with his sequel Lost World. Um, but this scary like monster fest of a movie, right? And he said when he read the novel and went, "Oh no, 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 we can do this a little bit more kid friendly. We can make it really delve into the science and stuff." Like a lot of what came out of the movie was because of Spielberg reading that book and kind of going, "This is what we can actually do with it to make it more get audiences on board." Um, yeah, I know one of the changes apparently in the book, Ian Malcolm dies, which they make a playful. I didn't even realize that they make a playful reference to in the movie sequel, where I think he says a quick throwaway line. He's like, "Yeah, rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated," or something like that. So it's like they're little like wink, wink, like yeah. In the book he dies, but yes, in the movie he lives and is even the star of the sequel, and showed up for the really shitty Dominion movie. Go on.
Michael Crichton's agents circulated the book to 6 studios and directors. There were a lot of interested parties with this one. Warner Brothers wanted it for Tim Burton to direct, which would have been interesting. I didn't say good, I said
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's plenty of Tim Burton films I like. I don't think he this. I don't even think it would have been good.
Probably not. Columbia wanted it for Richard Donner. That would have been
There's
interesting.
possibility there. He was a very eclectic director.
Now, this one is the one I think is the most interesting. Fox wanted it for Joe Dante.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what
I
that would
think
have
he
went.
could have made a good. I think yeah. I think it would have been along the lines of what we have now. Just obviously, maybe not with as much of a budget. I feel like Fox would have found a way to cut that budget, Deadpool style. Um,
Uh,
but interesting. Okay, that's interesting. I only say like I think that's probably just because I know to me, if you're going to pick, he has the vibe of Spielberg with a lot of his stuff. Granted, I know he's done a lot of work under Amblin, so
yeah. Well, I love that they were shopping this to genre directors. They had like they're different people who were going to put their own vision into this. And one of the most interested parties was James Cameron. He he planned to buy the rights to this, but Spielberg beat him. Like he was gonna do this himself, and he lost like by 2 days or something the rights to Spielberg. And then when he saw the movie, he's like, "Yep, Spielberg would have done it. He did this better than I would have done it," which is interesting because that doesn't
yeah,
sound like something Cameron's ego would let him say.
yeah, right. Well, I mean, this was pre-Titanic, so like this is back when he
Oh,
would actually be a little humble.
that is
Um,
true. That's true.
yeah. Um, I think Cameron would have made a good film. He would have made probably a more book accurate film. Um, and we probably have something more akin of a horror like sci-fi like you know iconic film in that regard. So I think he probably would have made something a little bit more in line with the book. Which I mean, don't get me wrong, it would have been cool seeing dinosaurs like fuck people up in R-rated fashion. Don't get me wrong. Um, but yeah, I think I'm with Cameron. I think Spielberg made what is the absolute best version of this film.
Yeah. Well, that was the other. Yeah, Universal wanted it for Spielberg, and Crichton was reluctant to submit to a bidding war. He instructed his agents to put a set price on the film rights, and he could decide who was more likely to get the film made. And after interviewing all the prospective directors, he agreed to sell to Spielberg, and Spielberg was his first choice anyway. So, good thing he
Oh,
didn't have to threaten
okay,
to walk.
nice.
Um,
Right?
after, yeah,
What if he asked Spielberg his thoughts on like a live monkey?
that's just something he's been holding on to his whole career. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you think of monkeys, Steve? Like he's smoking a cigarette. That's like his only question. That's the only thing he asks all of these guys. Real monkeys in film. What do you think, Tim? Huh? James? Huh? Joe? What do you think?
James Cameron's just like, are you talking about like Planet of the Apes where they're in a suit? Get out.
don't
Next.
don't put cracks in Crichton's vision. That's great. Um, so after Spielberg finished Hook, he was given the green light to make his next project, which was supposed to be Schindler's List. But he was only given that green light if he agreed to make Jurassic Park first. And Spielberg saw this as an opportunity to make, quote, Jaws on land, which is good. I'm glad he made this before Schindler's List because I think, that was a very depressing shoot. And I think some of that might have dripped into Jurassic Park had they reversed it.
Yeah, that and also like it kind of leads into like my only real like minute, small detailed like minuscule beef with Spielberg and that like after Schindler's List onward, he really became it seemed like more focused on like Oscar type films, and we didn't get a lot of the fun Spielberg anymore. Um, you know what I mean? Like from Schindler, I mean, we still got good stuff. I'm not saying we didn't get great stuff. I mean, we got Saving Private Ryan, right? Minority Report, like lots of great stuff. So I don't think I'm saying like he did bad films. I'm just saying there's a reason I always say that Ready Player One's like the most fun I've seen Spielberg have with a movie in fucking years. Every time I watch it, and why I love it so much. Um, because it seemed like Schindler's List onward, he didn't really make films like Jurassic Park or like his '80s output or Jaws anymore. It was like, how can I how can I get an Oscar? Granted, he's the least like annoying about getting an Oscar compared to some directors, Ridley Scott. Um,
Well,
but it just felt, like that was a paradigm shift. It felt like,
well, Spielberg has two Oscars. That's probably why he's not very annoying about it because he got his because he's a better filmmaker, Ridley. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think it might be that he'd done a lot of adventurous shit. Now he wanted to try a different kind of film. Uh, I mean, there's a documentary about the guy that I got to watch where I'm sure he talks about that transition. Uh,
yeah.
I'd love to hear.
And again, like I said, it's not me putting. Sorry, I'm not putting him. I'm not again not saying his films are bad. Like at the end of the day, he's doing what he wants to do. He's directing what he wants to direct because it's fucking Spielberg. Like he has that power. I just saying I do miss the days of a very fun Spielberg at the director's chair. I think it's again why I like Ready Player One so much. Out of his more recent output, it felt like he was having fun again. He was a kid again.
True, yeah, and I do love that movie. Um, he brought in Stan Winston to create the animatronic dinosaurs, Phil Tippett to create go motion dinosaurs for long shots, and Michael Lantieri to supervise the on-set effects, Dennis Murin of Industrial Light and Magic to do the digital compositing. Paleontologist Jack Horner supervised the designs to help fulfill Spielberg's desire to portray the dinosaurs as animals rather than monsters, because they're not monsters inherently. They're just creatures. They're just animals that are provoked into being monsters.
Yeah, I mean they once ruled this earth. You know that, and they were just that's all they were. That's all they were. They lived their life the way they did back then until an asteroid came and fucking killed them all.
I love this detail. The raptors were going to have flicking tongues in the early animatronics of the raptors. but the paleontologist Horner complained that that was implausible because raptors wouldn't be able to do that. So I love that he was there to be like, well, actually, that dinosaur wouldn't be able to move his tongue in such a way, so I don't think we should do that. We want to be realistic here, don't we, Steven?
I love that he had to do a real actually moment, and he actually he won in that case. Should we do the flicking tongue? Look, well, actually, Steven, listen here. You brought me on board for realism, and they don't flick their tongues. Okay, so are we going to stay realistic, or are we going to go for popcorn entertainment? You tell me, Steve.
If I was the guy who was making like who was in charge of like animating really cool looking dinosaurs and I had this know-it-all constantly looking over my shoulder telling me like, no, you got to move the eyes are too high. No, no, he wouldn't move like that. No, he doesn't have feathers. No, you got to. I would have probably elbowed the guy.
Also, you know how they worked around that. I saw in special features. They for the computer effects, a lot of the like when the T-Rex attacks that herd of I think it's like the Dilophosaurus or whatever they were. They get an accurate like weight on like when they're hitting the log. They said all their workers at IRM were walking around like that and running. They have screen videos on the special features of them running around, hopping on things to get an idea of how it would like look and like the weight of them hitting the branch so they could get it as accurate as possible. So they were trying to be accurate even without the well actually guy.
Good. That's good. I'm glad. Because what a dork. Universal paid Crichton a further 500 grand to adapt his own novel, which he had finished by the time Spielberg was ready to go. Crichton noted that because the book was fairly long, his script had about 10 to 20% of the novel's content. Scenes were dropped for budgetary and practical reasons. Violence was toned down, and we got what we got. I remember reading the original concept for Jurassic Park was not even like about a theme park. It was about like dinosaurs came back due to science, and there was a kid who was like loved, it was through the eyes of this kid. And all of his colleagues thought this was terrible. They were like, he was like, they told him, don't stop writing this. This is terrible. So he rethought it, added in his whole theme park gone awry thing from Westworld. And then people were like, oh, you got something. So always ask for help.
Yeah, I'm about to say yeah, because that first concept doesn't sound great, but the idea of a theme park run amok is just perfect.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about casting. So the first choice for Alan Grant was William Hurt. But he turned it down without reading the script. He was very much like, I don't want to do this. This sounds stupid. So he bailed. Not smart. Not smart.
Okay.
He would do Lost in Space 5 years later, but he wouldn't do this.
So yeah, I'm sure there was some regret that he didn't admit to after the film came out. It was a huge hit.
Yeah. Kurt Russell and Richard Dreyfuss were also considered for the role, but they were deemed too expensive, which makes me laugh. Like, I never thought of Kurt Russell as expensive. No offense to Kurt Russell. I just always thought he was more of an indie guy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, also keep in mind this is coming off of like his like 70s and 80s run of films where he was Kurt Russell. I mean, this was Snake Plissken. This was his character in Backdraft. Yeah. And the stuff Jack Byrne from Big Trouble in Little China, like he had a lot of good like hits under his belt to kind of warrant probably a pricey price tag back then.
I'll give you Backdraft, but his Carpenter run was all not that successful.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, but in terms of Hollywood, those films were considered either failures or mid-level hits that would not warrant a price tag.
Look, I was trying to get some credit here, and you just fucking.
Hey, I'm not the guy. Hey, I didn't see the thing in 1982 and said this is dog shit. Why would anybody make this? That's not my fault. I didn't do that. Harrison Ford and Tim Robbins were also offered the role. You couldn't afford Kurt Russell, but you could afford Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I was like,
that doesn't make any sense.
This is like literally like rising into his prime. Harrison Ford thinks Indiana Jones. Like, are you kidding me? Because '90s, as far as I'm concerned, is prime 40 years. It's the '90s. Um,
This
so
is
many good things.
this is like Patriot Games, Air Force One, Harrison Ford, who had been in high demand
Yeah,
since like, the early '80s. So I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Maybe it was Spielberg. He probably thought like Harrison, help a brother out or something. But I don't think Ford wanted to play another archaeologist with a fedora.
probably not. He's like, I'm not getting involved with our franchise, Stephen.
Well, Sam Neill ended up getting cast 3 or 4 weeks before filming began. They could not find Dr. Grant. Thankfully, they found Sam
Usually.
Neill. And he said it happened. This is a real quote from Sam Neill. It all happened real quick. I hadn't read the book, knew nothing about it, hadn't heard anything about it, and in a matter of weeks, I'm working with Spielberg. You imagine one day you're like doing a play in New Zealand, and then like the next day you're being flown to fucking Hawaii to make a dinosaur movie with Steven Spielberg, and you have prepped nothing.
That's amazing. I like the honesty though. Like I was not ready, and yet there I was on set.
Hollywood, a lot of it happens by accident or nobody, a lot of people acting like they know what they're doing. Fake it till you make it should be the fucking tagline of Hollywood.
Yes, not just for ladies everyone in the bedroom. It should also be for Hollywood because it's pretty much yeah.
So, for Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum was pretty much considered right away. But if he had said no, Jim Carrey also auditioned for the role.
Look, I like Jim Carrey, but no.
Yeah,
Just no.
I don't see it.
I don't need Ace Ventura fucking going over chaos theory in my Jurassic Park movie.
Well, alrighty then. Uh,
And now she's out of the car. Who would have seen that with all his fucking faces like that? No, I'm good.
yeah, he would have. It would have made this a bit of a weird movie if Jim Carrey's just doing his shtick in the middle of this. Oh boy. Um,
Oh god.
Laura Dern was Spielberg's first choice for the role of Ellie Sattler. Was not the only actress offered the part. Robin Wright and Juliette Binoche turned it down. Uh, Stacey Hyduck, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Helen Hunt auditioned for the role. I can see Helen Hunt. I despise Gwyneth Paltrow, and I don't know who Stacey Hyduck is.
I think the entire world. All right, so those who are really into her goop products, despise Grand Paltrow. Yeah, I can see Helen Hunt. I think they went with the best choice with Laura Dern, especially obviously. I think this was like a pre like I would have to look it up. I don't know how big she was at the time they did this movie. This may have been a very early role for her. Um,
Nah, she'd done like Wild at Heart with Nick Cage. That had already happened, and
okay. This was before she became like quote unquote one of David Lynch's like regular players.
no, this was Wild at Heart happened before. That was David Lynch, so she had already been working with Lynch.
Okay, okay. Um, she did. I had to laugh because obviously they were talking on the. It was again someone from behind the scenes when they're talking about like kind of like the film. And to the credit, Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern all had nothing but nice things to say about this movie and their time on it. Sam Neill was like very happy about and you could tell he's very happy and proud he did this film. Jeff Goldblum, he kind of almost stood me up. He goes, one of the greatest compliments I get is people will come up to me and be like, I have seen this film 100 times because my kid watches it every single day. And he goes, it's one of the greatest compliments I get to this day for being in this film. He goes, is that they watch this film and they love it so much. He goes, I'm glad to be part of something like that. He had nothing but great things to say about that. And basically like, that's what movie should do. And it's, he goes, it's like why this film works so well. And Laura Dern, she cracked me up. She goes, yeah, she goes, this is probably the biggest thing I remembered for. And she goes, the amount of kids that come up to me nowadays and go, are you the dinosaur lady who stuck her hands in dinosaur poo? She goes, I get that all the time. But she goes, the kids, they love it. And she goes, that's all that matters. And she goes, so it's, they have a really good reaction to this. And like, you can tell they generally like, there's no hard feelings that this has become such a beloved film. Sometimes actors are like, got that film. You can
Yeah,
tell for them, they saw very big appreciation for this film, for the fans that have kept it going for so long. And, the kids still recognizing them from it.
that's good. I'm glad. And yeah, I feel like if there'd been bitterness, they wouldn't have come back for the sequels, and they've all come back at least once.
Yeah.
Actually, twice.
Too bad
They've all come
they,
back at least twice.
yeah, yeah. And too bad they all couldn't come back, together in the same movie in a better film, but is what it is.
And then finally, Spielberg chose to cast Wayne Knight as Dennis Nedry after seeing his performance in Basic Instinct, which I assumed it was going to be, Newman, but no, it was Basic Instinct.
Yeah, right. And with I'm sure you're getting to the other one that we always forget he was in this film. So you watch and you're like, holy shit, he's in this movie before he was famous.
Yeah.
But yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. They made the comment on the bonus features. They were like, yeah, you could even they're like, you could tell when that guy was in the room, this guy was going places. They're like, he was just so much fun to work with, and just like this was a guy that knew what he was doing.
Funny because prior to this, like he'd done a few movies with Spike Lee, like he was working, but I guess like a year later, Pulp Fiction happened and he exploded.
Yeah, yeah. I think Pulp Fiction was like his big like breakout.
Yeah. I do always forget he's in this. It's like, oh shit, that's right, Sam Jackson.
Yeah, I watch him like, oh yeah, that's right. He's always smoking a cigarette in this movie.
Another weird tidbit throughout the movie, Dennis Nedry's wardrobe reflects characters from the Goonies. You ever notice
I
that?
never noticed that.
When we first meet
No.
him, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. That's Chunk. When he's in the park, when he's in the park working on his computer, he's wearing Corey Feldman's character Mouth's gray jacket, and then when he's running from the, trying to escape the island, he's wearing Mikey's yellow raincoat.
Oh wow.
Other than Spielberg being a producer on the Goonies, I really don't see any other connection. But hey, neat.
Okay, neat. Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting a Goonies connection in my Jurassic Park movie.
Neither was I, but nerd shit finds a way. Jurassic Park was a colossal hit, grossing to date 1.057 billion on a budget of 63 million. That's including the many, many theatrical re-releases it's gotten over the years. It's
Yes.
spawned.
It was like, yeah. I'll say they literally just said 30th anniversary release a few months ago. That I went to. I was able to catch.
That's awesome. I remember like in the 90s, it made like 900 something million dollars, where it became the highest grossing film of all time until Titanic came out and destroyed that record. But that means that since then, it's gotten another like 100, 200,000 or $200 million in revenue just from re-releases, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then another thing I want to talk about real quick, because obviously this fucking came up big with the Marvels here recently, and Nia DaCosta apparently not being on set towards the end. Or obviously another big one was Eli Roth stepped away from the set of Borderlands, the post-production process that to work on Thanksgiving. Look, for everyone who's wondering, that's a normal fucking thing in movies, because guess what? They talk about it. While Spielberg was in post on Jurassic Park, he was in, I think, Prague. No, I forget the country. I forget where he was at. He was nowhere near the post production studios, because he went, you mentioned earlier, to go film Schindler's List. So he was actually filming Schindler's List, working on the post production on this remotely. He made the comment he would basically have to do like meetings, like remote meetings, 2 or 3 times a week with IOM, where they'd send him everything, and he'd look over and put in his notes and be like, I need you to do this instead with this. And he actually he even stated himself on the bonus page, he goes, he'd never do that ever again. He goes, he hated it. He goes, because it just divided my attention between two things I really wanted to do. He goes, But he did say like because of it, he used all of his intuition for Schindler's List, but all of his he said he felt like he used every ounce of his craft for Jurassic Park to get me is how he kind of worded it. And I get what he means. I get what he means. In that regard, I get it. He was absolutely using the craft of cinema in every tour at his disposal to get that film made while having to shoot Schindler's List, which he called a very bipolar experience, obviously, because they're two completely different films.
Yeah, yeah, pretty crazy. I remember reading that he refused to take a salary for Schindler's List because he said that would be blood money. And
Yeah,
I wonder if he said that in front of the cast and crew who did take a salary. Like
it's
saying
just
that like
eyeing.
in front of Liam Neeson and Ray Fiennes being like, "Oh, I would never take a cent for this." Like that would be pretty shitty.
I would love if he said that and then just looked at them, just stared. God,
Oh, I
yeah,
have
no, yeah,
admittedly, I've never seen Schindler's List because it's a 3.5 hour long Holocaust drama, and I know it's going to be amazing, but I also know it's going to be emotionally devastating, and I'm in no hurry to spend half my day
or
watching Jews get tortured for. Yeah, I'm good for now.
or,
I'll watch it eventually, but
or
I'm not in a hurry.
are we saying that I've seen an Oscar trauma before you have? Because I've seen Schindler's List. It's really fucking good. I'm not sitting through it again, but it's really fucking good.
Apparently, we are. I saw some clips in high school and thought, Jesus Christ, this is sad, and I've just never
Oh, it's
bothered
very
to.
yeah, it's a very depressing film. Um, yeah, no, it. So I just want to point that out. One, because I think it's an interesting tidbit with the film. And two, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about that. Because, like I said, Eli Roth very publicly before Thanksgiving came out, people were like, "Oh, he left Borderlands to go work on Thanksgiving." And obviously Nia DaCosta very recently with the Marvels. Oh, everyone's trying to find any reason nowadays with MCU anyway. Not a fucking uncommon thing. They do it all the time. Unfortunately, they're one person trying to get a film made. So sometimes it happens. Especially when they're an in-demand director. And they are, like Eli Roth's case, he wanted to get Thanksgiving made. Like he had a deal to get it made. He was going to get it made. Same with Spielberg, right? He was an in-demand director. He, like you said at the beginning, he was told, "Hey, you can make sure it's just you're filming this." It's just how it happened. Um, is what it is. And I'm sure, it didn't help that, there was a fucking hurricane that I think, hit them in the middle or towards the end of production, while they were filming in Hawaii. So, that probably didn't help. I'm sure that probably bled into a little bit of reason he had to go work on Schindler's List before you finish post production. Amongst, I'm sure, a multitude of other reasons that happen.
I read that when the hurricane hit, everyone evacuated the island, went to the mainland, except Richard Attenborough. He stayed at the hotel
He slept
because,
through it.
yeah, he slept through it. When they asked him, why the hell did you do that? He said something like, Sonny, I slept through the Blitz. Like, nothing
Yeah.
scares. After you've been bombed by Nazis, nothing scares you.
Uh, uh, Spielberg showed that on the special features when they were talking about the hurricane. He shared that story. So yes, that happened.
And
He was the
Richard
one that asked him,
Attenborough,
like,
oh, go ahead.
he was the one that asked him, like, "Did you just sleep through the whole thing?"
I love that. I love that. He's like, Sonny, it doesn't matter. Now let's make a dinosaur movie.
Yeah, right. We got bigger things to worry about than the hurricane, buddy.
And this was his first acting gig in like 14 years. Attenborough had mostly been focusing on directing for quite some time. He had just done Chaplin, 1992 biopic of Charlie Chaplin, which is a fantastic movie. And Spielberg waited for him to be done with that because he wanted Attenborough, especially after Sean Connery said, "What the hell is the script?" and said no. Attenborough was on
Oh,
board.
Sean Connery was at that point.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
I
he
will
just
say
kept
Connery
turning
was
shit
at that
down
point.
because he didn't get it.
God damn it! Oh, Connery.
Considering the scripts he turned down for that reason were Jurassic Park, The Matrix, and The Lord of the Rings, I'm starting to think that maybe Sean Connery just couldn't read.
I'm starting to think that too, because then when he finally said yes, it was a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it made him retire until the day he died. Um, yeah, no, there's I, Richard Attenborough was a great choice for him, at least for this take on him, and obviously he is a lot less villainous. Um, Another fun fact I'd like to share is the iconic scene with the trembling water. Apparently, again, Spielberg's ideal initially because he was listening to music in his car and he saw how the rear view mirror shakes, so he does what I do and just turns his music up really loud at that point. Which caused that shaking. He's like, "Ooh, we need to do that. I want that in the movie." Basically, like, how can we do that to signify the T-Rex? And um they could not figure it out. Like, apparently Spielberg was asking every single day, "Hey, what's the update on the water?" Like, we're still trying to figure it out. Like, what they finally did was one of the guys was playing with his guitar, and he just happened to have water on him, and he looked, and he's like, "Wait a minute," and he looked, and he hit a note again, and the water finally did its thing that we see in the movie. He was like, "Holy shit!" And so that's how they pulled it off. They inserted, I think, like a guitar string underneath the dashboard that they could control, and they just would do control it to make the water do a thing. A simple fucking guitar string on a certain note.
That's awesome. I bet Spielberg was prepared to like put a significant chunk of this film's budget towards solving that problem, and it took one guy with a guitar string to be like, "I got this." That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, the fact that he was asking everybody, he's like, "I have an idea. It will be in there." It's the amount of just insane, just like from like, "Hey, how are we gonna get the T-Rex in? Oh, we'll just have it come in. Oh no, okay, I meant through the door. You're talking about the shot." And Spielberg's probably like, "Yeah, duh. Don't care about the door part. Shot's all we need." Um, just the amount of times he just had an idea was like, "How can we put this into the film?" It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, at that point in his career, Steven Spielberg was already one of the most respected and idolized filmmakers of all time. Just at that point, E.T., Indiana Jones, Jaws, like Close Encounters, that had already happened. So if one of the greatest filmmakers working tells you we got to get this water thing solved, everyone's going to be making that priority one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wants to be the guy who solved Steven's problem.
Oh yeah. I just love the idea that he was asking everybody, like, "Hey guys, don't mean to bug. All right, I'm not mad yet. We saw the water thing yet. We figure it out."
I love the yet. I'm not mad yet.
Yeah. Also, both the kid actors, they came back. Um, they had nothing but great things to say about Spielberg himself and his direction when it comes to kids. And this probably explains why, to me, Spielberg has gotten some of the best kid performances just in film in general. Um, because they made a good point and comment that he never once talked down to them. They said it was very weird that, and it kind of tells you like how adults like to treat kids in general, especially when it comes to directing them. They go, "He never talked down to us. He talked to us, you know." And they said he was very warm. He was very inviting. He included them in the collaborative process because he respected that they are actors still playing a character, and he respected that regardless of their age. Um, and that they said he actually sit there and would joke with them in between sets, and that's how he would kind of ease them into it. He'd joke with them, have a good time, and then tell them what they needed to know for the scene. And he's just like, they both of them just absolutely, along with obviously the adult actors, absolutely just praised his directing style with them.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say a bad thing about Spielberg. Like the guy has a well-oiled machine on set. He's an expert. He's been doing this for years. He knows he knows what he needs. He knows how to convey that to his actors, to his cameraman, to everybody, and everyone just works to make this thing happen. Like that's the kind of atmosphere everybody should have on set.
Yeah, yeah, and he knows how to do that as a director, and it's why he's also been a very successful producer. He knows how to take that step back and put on his producer hat and do that, but still be open from what we've heard from people like Toby Hooper, um, other people. I'm not gonna say Michael Bay's name with the goddamn Transformers films, but other, Joe Dante. I forgot Gremlins. That's right. Um,
Richard
or
Donner.
if they, Richard Donner, yeah. If they did need like maybe wanted to ask him something, he would still offer that to them. Like, hey, it's your movie. You are making your movie. But if you need any kind of help or advice, I am open. I am available for that. And, he had no issues doing that but never in that process overstepping and saying, okay, you clearly don't know what you're doing. Let the master take care of it. No, it was, he knew how to, he knows how to collaborate. He knows how to collaborate. He knows how to put his ego, if he even has one, in check to allow someone else to make a film. And even when he has his producer hat on.
Yeah, the dude Hattori Hanzo, he's the greatest of all time, and everyone knows that, but he doesn't have to constantly tell you that because everyone's just accepted that, and we all are on the same page.
Yeah. He's earned his reputation. He doesn't have to flex it. We all know it's fucking Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. It's like the first name you think of when you think of movies. It's Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. The guy's literally defined how many childhoods now at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And he shows no signs of stopping.
Oh no, you still see him popping up with stuff he's producing. You still hear about new movies he's directing. Like, nah, and he's in what, I think his 70s now.
Yeah. So Jurassic Park spawned 5 sequels. 1997's The Lost World, Jurassic Park. 2001's Jurassic Park 3. 2015's Jurassic World. 2018's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And 2022's Jurassic World Dominion. And they've all been pretty successful. I think Jurassic Park 3 is the least successful, but the rest of them have all been huge hits.
Yeah.
With money, not usually with critics.
Yeah, and not always with audiences. I'm looking at you, Dominion, and to an extent, 3.
It was nominated for 3 Oscars, all of which it won: Best Visual Effects, Best Sound, and Best Sound Editing. And it beat The Nightmare Before Christmas for Best Visual Effects, which I have mixed feelings about. I mean, on one hand, it's Jurassic Park, and it's some amazing, groundbreaking visual effects. But then there's The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is one giant ass visual effect. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that.
That oh no, I get what you mean. That's tough because yes, Night Before Christmas, very it's a whole visual effects thing. I will give the edge, and this could be biasy, so I can fully admit it could be biasy. I would give the edge to Jurassic Park because of how groundbreaking it was at the time. Still is, I would say, in that I would give it on that merit alone. Sound, I mean, knowing what they did to achieve these dinosaur sounds, and if you take into the fact the dinosaur sounds alone, right, and you take into context the fact that there's no recorded actual sound of dinosaurs, right, because obviously there were no humans. So there's no recorded sound of dinosaurs, so they had to make this shit up on what we think they sound like, and and the things they did, like for the T-Rex, using things like alligator noises, and even like when he's eating the dude in the toilet, or from the crapper, that's a dog chewing on the bone or something. Like it's things like literally simple things you would just not think of that they're using to create these noises for how they sound to make them sound good. To the point that they're still the kind of sounds you use in now any dinosaur thing made, where it's the documentaries we get all the time, or obviously Jurassic Park sequels, and Jurassic World movies. The sound thing makes absolute sense, and I would give the slightest of edge on visual effects for Jurassic Park.
Fair enough. I wish there is not usually a tie. There have been in the past with the Oscars. That for me was a moment that I think I would have given a tie.
Yeah, I would argue then, like, I would give visual effects to Jurassic Park, and possibly best animated film to, obviously, Nightmare Before Christmas.
I would too, but there was no best animated film yet. That didn't happen until 2001.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they had that, then you could have easily been like, hey, let's make this easy. That's animated. Give it to that.
I think Nightmare Before Christmas should have dominated in the song category. Like, didn't get a single nomination for song, for score, completely shut out there. That's where it should have scored, for sure. But didn't happen.
Yeah.
Also, John Williams didn't get nominated for score for this. He won for Schindler's List, but he should have been up for this as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll obviously talk about score, man, so I don't get too heavy into it because we're going to gush about the score when we talk about music. At least I know I am. I know you are probably as well, but yeah, I don't know how I didn't like the when we talk about music and scenes and stuff. I don't want to jump the gun on that, but I have to hold myself back. God damn this score! Holy fuck!
I got
This
you.
score fucks. I'll say that much. This score fucks.
Uh, Jurassic Park has an IMDb score of 8.2, Rotten Tomatoes score of 91%, audience score of 91% as well. Critics' consensus reads Jurassic Park is a spectacle of special effects and lifelike animatronics with some of Spielberg's best sequences of sustained awe and sheer terror since Jaws. Nice. High praise.
That
Um,
is high praise, and yeah. I put this like right up there with Charles. It's probably like his. It's so hard because God, that like 70s that like 90s run of Spielberg is fucking impeccable. Um,
oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean, obviously this is right up here with Charles. I don't know, maybe even next to each other. I don't. Goddamn. So I don't think of all the other movies. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a lot of good stuff. And then
Yeah, ranking Spielberg's next to impossible. Um, the film is currently streaming on Prime Video. So if you've not seen Jurassic Park, I honestly don't know what the hell you've done with your life up to this point, but that's where you can go watch it.
yeah, and this is saying a lot because we all know my feelings on Nolan, but I agree with him on this stance. I'm backing up what Nolan and Del Toro said. You could buy it on physical media. You don't have to worry about which streaming service it happens to be on, and you can watch it whenever you fucking want. Whenever you want.
Very
No
true.
one from no one from the studio is going to bust down your door and take it from you at the end of the month, or because they need to do a tax write off. It's yours forever.
Yeah, I think you know what. In the spirit of that, I'm going to stop telling people where these films are streaming. Go buy it yourself. Do your part.
Yeah, and also when we say streaming, don't use that as an excuse to be like, oh, my Joe broken Fire Stick or whatever illegal site exists nowadays. I don't fucking know anymore. No, I like if you're going to stream it, please do it like legally for Christ's sakes. Like keep I yes, it's €30 phone, but let it keep making money. Like
Yeah,
get on Prime, get on wherever you need to stream it if you want to do that route.
yeah. And we legally cannot endorse piracy, just because it's wrong. But
It's bad.
yeah, go buy the damn movie. Go buy a DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. Get a VHS. I don't care, but go buy this movie and own it.
Oh my god, if I could find a fucking VHS still in the wrap. I have the original Chainsaw Massacre, which makes me happy. If I can find Jurassic Park, that's gonna make my day.
Ah, well, let's talk about specifics. Talk about scenes, performances, music, dialogue. Where do you want to start? Let's start. Let's get music out of the way. Holy shit, John Williams. That
Yeah, I was
man.
like, I was gonna say you brought it up. We gotta talk about music. Let's just knock down on. Yeah, I'm with you. John Williams, obviously, just an absolute legend when it comes to scores, and this, I believe, a regular Spielberg collaborator for a long time. I don't know. Not anymore. I think he retired after the more recent Indiana Jones, I believe. Um, but man, this of all the scores Williams has done, this has always been my favorite. Is always what the moment this music is the biggest thing that makes me go back to my childhood when I first watched this. Like the moment I hear it, that's when that happiness starts to hit. That's when that, like I was saying with, going through the personal stuff, that's when immediately the moment the music came on, all of what I was kind of dealing with went away. And it was like, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. I'm watching Jurassic Park. And just, obviously the more iconic moments you hear about it, but even when you have the slow down moment when they're having dinner together and how they kind of play with it there, and it's just like God, this score is just so goddamn good. Like it's to me one of the most iconic scores of all time in film. It's easily top five for me personally.
Yeah, hard to argue with it. It is. instantly iconic. He wrote this shit in a month, by the way. Because Johnny Whaley knows what he's doing. The yeah. Uh, um, my favorite of his is probably it's probably Indiana Jones. Um, and that's just with Spielberg. I mean, without Spielberg, we're talking Superman, we're talking Harry Potter, like this, George, Star Wars. The guy is the go-to for instantly iconic franchise magic. And he never failed. Even in the shittiest Star Wars movies, his music stands out.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I felt with some John Carpenter in the recent Halloween movies. I may have hated Halloween Ends, but goddamn, that Carpenter can't make a bad score. It fucked. The movie did not, but the score did.
The movie went limp in 5 minutes, but the score, the score fucked the whole time. Score lasted the whole
score stayed hard. Yeah, score stayed hard all 2 hours. Did not come until the end.
Left an audience very satisfied. Anyway,
money shot.
God damn it. So I only really have one bit written down for music, and that is obviously Welcome to Jurassic Park when they arrive at the island. It's the most iconic bit of the score. It's the most recognizable. It's the moment where shit really kicks off, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a great moment. To me, like that moment, and then like I said, I think the other moment for me, another really good moment, and it hit more as I've gotten older. And obviously, as I've gotten older, enjoyed more about the film than just it has dinosaurs. Like kid me enjoyed.
Yeah, but
that slow down moment when like things are finally really getting dire, and you get that slow down, and like you're seeing all the merchandise, and Laura Dern and Hammond, Ellie and Hammond are having dinner, and it's just them, and they're having that conversation. You get the slow down part of the score, like the melancholy of like, it's not like you said, like you have the welcome part that's joyful and happy, and like, look at this, dinosaurs, amazing. And now we have this part where it's like, dinosaurs, scary, bad, things are going to hell, like tree might be dead,
Yeah. It's Hammond surrounded by the ice cream, just like trying to think like, next time we're gonna like I'm gonna, I won't rely just on one fat guy. I'm gonna like we're gonna do this right. And Ellie's like, John, people are dead. There's no park. This is over. You're not gonna get a second chance here. You fucked up. Own it. And yeah, it does take a lot for him to finally own his mistakes here. But yeah, I love the music in that bit.
Yeah, I'll talk about more about that scene. There's actually really like that scene and dialogue with it. But the music playing, it's just a perfect, like, just again, just flipping it. It's the same score we're hearing. It's just slowed down, flipped. It's just done a tad differently to reflect what's happening at this point. And kind of like you said, the despair of Hammond seeing his dream get crushed. And Ellie's obviously worried about Grant, and because she likes kids a bit more than him. The two children that are out there in the wild with dinosaurs.
Is it just me, or does Hammond seem not as concerned about his grandchildren being stuck on Dinosaur Island than he should be?
I feel like he's not showing it. Because we get like that one moment where he kind of like implies that Ellie shouldn't go to the shed because she's a lady. So you get that. I think he's a very old school dude that he's just not showing it. I think inside he is absolutely worrying about it because he's portrayed very much as like he does love his grandkids. It's almost clear he built this with his grandkids in mind. I just don't think he's shown it, and you also have the part of him that's so consumed with making this work that's almost what he's using as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, he's British, stiff upper lip. Don't ever let them see you cry, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk performance. So, obviously, everybody's fantastic in this, but if you had to pick one person to take home, let's say, the I don't know, Filmgazm Golden Money Shot Award or whatever. Who gets it?
First, now we sound like a fucking porno. Filmgazm Golden Money Shot Award.
The second we called our channel and podcast Filmgasm, that is the risk we took. I'm honestly
This
surprised
is
it hasn't
true.
come up more.
I'm surprised we don't have comments and like our thing with that on like for other tits. Like I'm surprised we haven't gotten that comment yet. Just so
90% of
everybody
our
knows what's
comments
happening.
is idiots being like, this isn't the full movie. Blah. Like, that's pretty much all we get.
Yeah. Well, preemptively, if you do get that comment, you're not getting it unless you watch the film that might have them in it. And it's probably gonna be an older film because apparently, based off film Twitter of 2023, we're getting prudish again, and we're acting like sex and nudity isn't fun in movies. And fuck y'all for that, you goddamn prudish sons of bitches. Now,
If we
the
if we start
actual award.
we start a Patreon and start filming this, I will 100% show my tits. I promise. So there's your incentive.
I don't need to see those, but I am just here to say I fully support nudity and sex scenes in movies. Like, get off your high horse. Jesus Christ. Obviously, as long as they're filmed in a very safe environment. I get that that is some of the case here. Like that, yeah, let's not be sketchy with it.
Anyway,
But also,
who wins the performance award?
yeah, performance award. Ooh, it's tough, but I think I gotta give it to my boy Jeff Goldblum. God damn, Jeff Goldblum is like a fucking rock star that just walked into this movie. His character, he's supposed to be the scientist that does chaos theory, which yeah, sure, I guess that's what he gets paid to do. I even when he explains, I'm like, you really get paid to do this. You're a scientist on this. I think we all understand what chaos theory is, buddy. It's not that like fucking in depth. Um, but like he just everything from like how he is, God, so heavily hitting on Ellie openly in front of Grant because he doesn't realize they're a couple, which I know. Granted, Laura Dern has recently talked about that whole relationship thing and how she thinks that shouldn't fly with the age gap between her and Sam Neill in real life because I think there's like a 20-year difference between them. Yeah. We went down. It was apparently like I think right before Dominion came out or after she made comments about that, and I was like, no, it doesn't matter. Um,
Don't they get back together in Dominion?
yes. Yeah, but like from him just like openly hitting on her because he's so goddamn unaware they're a fucking couple. To his credit, when he does find out and he's like, oh my bad, like get his credit, he backs off immediately. He's like, oh shit, okay, hey, I'm not that kind of guy, my bad. Um, to like the oft memed image of him just showing all that 90s Goldblum upper body. He fucking comes in and just I wouldn't say he steals it from everyone, but he goddamn he lets you know Jeff Goldblum's in the house.
Yeah, he just is constantly oozing charisma. I gave it to Goldblum as well. He's just such a fucking lightning rod of screen presence. Every time he's there, he's the only thing we're looking at. There could be a T-Rex right over here, and all we're looking at is Goldblum.
Yes,
yeah,
and you know what's funny about that scene? Apparently, originally in the script, he was actually supposed to run away like the lawyer. Like he was supposed to book it. It was Goldblum's ideal to say, "Hey, can we maybe make him a little bit more heroic?" And he actually does something to help the kids. So that whole ideal of him running with the flare, that was Goldblum's ideal, and Spielberg liked it enough to be like, "Yeah, let's do that."
yeah, smart, very smart, because that would have really been a bad idea to just suddenly turn this like charming dude into a self-righteous prick. Um, yeah,
Yeah, especially after you have like the scene before. I want to say you have the scene before that where he talks about having like what three kids or something like that. Granted, we only see one of them in the sequel, but he has kids. So yeah, I would hope that in a moment like that, he would be thinking of his own and what he would do.
yeah. I think my follow-up choice is probably Richard Attenborough, who just that character on paper is a sadist, is a despicable monster. But Attenborough plays him as such a kindly, in over his head, genius who just wants people to be able to experience this incredible thing he's done for the world, and truly does think he's doing the right thing. He never sees himself as the cause of all this. He just wants to do that. He wants everybody to be happy in a weird way, and that's just Attenborough's natural charm coming into this character. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Admiral was great because this could easily, like, from what I've heard in the book, he's a very villainous role. This could have been an easy, quick, like, yeah, just ham it up, be the super despicable CEO, type, blah blah blah. But what he adds to it, and and obviously what they did with the script and with the character before he came on board, but and what he adds with his performance is someone that, like you said, he's misguided. He genuinely wants to do something that makes people happy. He is in his own way, much like Steven Spielberg was making this with almost feeling like a kid again. It's kind of the same thing. He's almost doing this as like to please his inner child. Like, he has an own saying, we can bring dinosaurs back. Wouldn't that be something cool to do for people? Wouldn't that be amazing if you could see these things in a safe environment? And he's not doing it with these horrendous intentions. Like, he's doing it because in him, it's a very cool moment. He's misguided.
yeah. Even when money comes up and the lawyer's like, we can charge $10,000 a day if we want. Hammond, says, I didn't do this so rich people could monopolize it. Like, I want everybody to be able to see this. And then when you talk about the flea circus, and we get to see a bit of insight into who he is and what led this to happen. And he just says, like, he wanted to make something real, and that's
Yeah. It for as, like, obviously, as much as the shit goes shit goes sideways on him, and like I said, he keeps trying to figure out how to make it work, and it takes him further to finally realize this is a bad idea. You kind of get where he's coming from, because you do kind of get into that point where you guys still like, would I do the same thing if I was in his shoes? Would I not want to maybe try to do this and give people something that is this, like, joyful thing that we should be happy about? Like, we can bring dinosaurs back. We can really see these creatures with our own eyes finally, and and bring joy and happiness to people in a way that you could with doing something like that. You understand, you get his side, you understand him completely. And and then you see him with his grandkids, and he is very grandfatherly, and the fact that you could tell he's making it for something like you said, that comment about, like, I want everyone to enjoy this. The subtext is he wants kids to enjoy this. He wants, again, pleasing that inner child in himself. He wants kids to enjoy this, and for them to see the wonder that is dinosaurs. To the point that you do have that one scene we'll talk more about where he's like, "Oh, we'll do better security." And it's like, no, man, that's not the thing. Yeah, no, Richard Amber fucking crushes it out of the park. And obviously we all love to make the jokes, because he says that one line over and over, to spare no expense. um but it's fun.
well,
and and
I love the irony of that line. Like, we spared no expense on the structure and the creatures and the food, but you underpaid the IT guy, and that's what caused all of this to get fucked up.
yeah, so again, hey, 2023, that's a hint. Pay people a living wage. And then, like, yeah, when he does deliver the immortal line, like, I don't see anyone else delivering the "Welcome to Jurassic Park" quite the way Richard Attenborough did. That how he did that from the lead up to with the music, it was perfect. He is so good. And this, the point that I was, this is the only thing I've really seen him in, obviously, because he did a lot of directing stuff. But when news had, I think I remember you had told me, because I didn't see it on the internet yet, that he had passed. It did affect me, because it was like, oh, we lost the guy who gave us joy and wonder.
I just recently watched the remake of Miracle on 34th Street for the first time, and Richard Attenborough plays Santa Claus in that movie, and he is easily the best part of that movie. The rest of the movie kind of sucks, but he is so great as this whimsical, cheerful, fun loving man who just wants everybody to be happy and feel good about themselves. Like he was so perfectly cast.
Yeah, he's really good at that. Um, Another one I would shout out is Sam Neill. I actually think he gets a little like underrated almost in this film,
Yeah.
but his arc is awesome. He plays obviously this guy who's very much into dinosaurs, knows a lot about them. It's a specialty. Um, and so established very early on he doesn't want children. He doesn't like kids, and the arc he goes on with our two kid characters is really good because you see again he may not want them, but again it's that idea of like showing us that then they regardless he's still a good guy because if you notice he goes out of his way to help them because like hey I may not we go from like that scene where like Tim won't leave him alone with the whole like what car are you going into, oh whichever one you're in, right, and then leads them to the other car. But then when push comes to shove and the T-Rex attacks, he's the first one out the door. He's the first one being like, "Hey, look, we got to figure this out. We got to get these kids to safety." And he gets them out of the tree. He gets them over there. He is trying to get Tim to jump off, and he is quickly resuscitating them. Like he steps up big time and make sure at the end of the day, regardless of his feeling towards kids, he is making sure they are safe. And that really speaks a lot to his character.
Yeah, especially at the beginning when he straight up threatens that one kid for mocking his Velociraptor Rex. Uh, yeah, I love Sam Neill in this. I don't see anyone else as Alan Grant. I'm glad he was the like sixth choice. But
Yeah.
and they basically just said like, "Hey, you want to do this dinosaur movie?" And he's like, "Okay, like great, get in the helicopter now." Yeah, now.
We were filming in like a day. We need you over there now.
uh, yeah, I think Laura Dern is fantastic. I love Wayne Knight in this. I've always liked Wayne Knight as a character actor, and seeing him play this just like underhanded, sabotaging little shit is he's fantastic.
Oh, he's great. When he's like sitting there being like, "Hey, I want to go take my break right now." And he's like, "I'm like, dude, you couldn't be any more fucking suspicious if you tried."
Yeah, he's like
Like,
sweating.
bro.
The systems are gonna go back on and off, and like I don't know, it's just normal. I'm gonna go to get a vending machine. Anybody want anything? A pretzel, something? Anybody? Like, he's just so obviously up to something, and they just don't care.
Yeah, it's like they clearly don't like him, so they don't give a shit. They're just like, "Yeah, get out of the room." How's that sound? Or when
Uh,
him and like Hammond have that little spat. Dennis, I told you not to air your personal problems in here. They're yours to deal with.
Never, the biggest mistake you can make when you're creating a theme park full of real life dinosaurs that you've cloned from prehistoric DNA is putting one disgruntled dude in front of, like, in charge of all the computer programs and security of the entire park, and then not paying him a fair amount. Like,
Yeah.
don't do
And
it.
one IT guy, one.
One guy who locks
Yeah.
everyone out of the system with some hacker shit. And like, I love that whole like, you didn't say the magic word. Like, it's such a fuck you, John kind of. It's so good.
Yeah. You see the magic word? Look, bitch, please.
um. Okay, let's shout out some lines because this movie has some fantastic, iconic dialogue. Uh, One of my all-time favorite. Most of these are from Dr. Malcolm because Goldblum doesn't know how to turn it off. Uh, it's I love when they're in the park looking at trying to find the dinosaurs, and Goldblum just goes, "God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs." And then Ellie piggybacks and goes, "Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth." And him and Grant both look at her like, too soon. But I do love that concept
Or I
of
love
like fucking circle of life that is in Malcolm's head here.
Oh yeah, and what I love is that's probably like the only line of dialogue when she turns around and says that guy like quote unquote dates the movie. For those who want to play that card. because obviously it's a very 90s joke, but it works. It's funny, especially when they look at each other like, what? Yeah, no, Goldblum's fucking great. Everything with him in the car and like when he's like showing her the damn, like with the water and you go, see, now we couldn't. My favorite part was like when they have to get out of the car and he's like, now see, who could have predicted that Dr. Grant would take off his seatbelt and exit the car? And also, oh, and now there she goes. Now here I am just talking to myself. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That was not. There's no way in shit that was scripted. That was just
No, that
him.
had to be like that had to be him, and they just kept filming. Like, all right, I guess we'll just keep filming until he stops talking. Um, I do
I
love in that scene
Yeah,
with
go ahead.
the my line for me with that is when there's no dinosaurs, and he pokes on the camera. He's like, "Hey, there's gonna be dinosaurs in your dinosaur attraction, right?"
It's it's right to the security camera, and it's so fucking sarcastic. And I love Hammond's just like, I really hate him.
Yeah.
Um, I love his, Malcolm's iconic speech about life. He says, John, the kind of control you're attempting simply is not possible. There's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories and crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously. But well, there it is. I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Way. Dude, it's such a great line. And he ends up being what I love is that he is right. That's what he's right. Like, because
From the start,
he
as
gets
soon as
the
they get there, he's like, what the hell have you done? And he's the only one who understands how dangerously unethical and crazy this whole concept is. And it takes everyone else some time and some trauma to get on board. But he from the get-go understood this is wrong.
oh yeah, you can see it on him, especially when his whole like that crazy son of a bitch did it. Um, like you can tell, yeah, he knows the implications of this right off the bat, and that line proves it because he again, like I say, he's right because sure enough, life found a way because they're idiots that spliced a not good gene into the program because they didn't do their research and found out that frogs in a same-sex environment will just spontaneously change their fucking gender if they need to. And so guess what the dinosaurs did? They changed their gender and they were able to have dinosaurs of their own, which they weren't supposed to be able to do. So he was right. My other favorite speech he does is when they all have like dinner, I guess, for lunch or whatever. And he's asking for everyone's opinion, and you get that great moment where he's like, you guys are doing all this stuff, but and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and no one stopped to what was it? Sorry, let me pull it up. You were so preoccupied with that you never stopped to ask if you should. And it's really great fucking line because he's right. It's like what we talked about earlier. They kept saying we could do this, let's do it, but no one had a moment to step back and say like, should we do this?
Yeah. I have that scene in my favorite scenes because it's so great. And I love his whole, the his whole thing about discovery being the rape of the natural world and how, you know, you took this power that you had no discipline like in learning how to use, you slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and it's just he's so astonished that it got this far and no one questioned it, not once. It's yeah, and I love that
Yeah.
he gets everyone else on board. I love when Hammond's like, I brought you here to defend me against these characters, and the only one I've got on my side is the blood sucking lawyer. And the guy's like,
Fucking
thanks.
more. Yeah. Where I love like he's hoping like on Sam Neill, he loves dinosaurs, and I love you saying I was like, look, man, it's been 65 million years separated between us and human, and now you're putting us together. Like, and he's like, yeah, that may not be good for the dinosaurs. Like, things have changed in that time.
We don't have the slightest idea what to expect. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah, that's a fantastic scene. Makes Hammond look like kind of a kind of a well, he actually Goldblum describes. He says like you wield this power like a kid who found his father's gun. Like that's
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah, it's the perfect way. It's like yeah, when you're a kid and you discover by at least if you're in a state like Texas, I'm not gonna say this is true of like every single state in America, obviously with different gun laws everywhere. But yeah, when you're a kid and you find where your dad hides its gun, and then you're like, ooh, candy. Not realizing it's a fucking possibly loaded weapon, depending on how your parents handled that whole thing with ammo and gun. So yeah, absolutely. They're right. He's voting it like we can do it, and I'm going to do it. And screw we're on an island. What's the worst that can happen?
Um, one of my favorite bits of dialogue. One of my favorite things about this movie is the build up to the Raptors. From the beginning, and velociraptors were not like a very well-known dinosaur in pop culture before this movie came out. Everyone knew like T-Rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus. Like that was it. And the one with the big neck. But all the other dinosaurs, no. But the raptors, right from the get-go, when Grant's describing their hunting tactics to that kid, and we get to see the claw, and when Wu just casually mentions they're breeding raptors, and Grant's like, "What? You bred raptors?" And he's like, his eyes are like, "Please tell me you didn't just say that." And then we meet Muldoon, and he's describing like they have problem-solving skills, and I just love the little bit that Muldoon says. He's like, "They remember." Like you're just like,
Oh yeah.
the whole time you're like, what the fuck are these things?
Well, and then he also gives that hint and goes, "Yeah, we had to change how we feed them because she was attacking the workers when they went to the gate or whatever."
They attacked the fence, but they never attacked the same place twice. They're testing it for weaknesses. Like shit.
Yeah. And I was like, "Geez." So anyway, shout out to I forget the actor who plays Muldoon off the top of my head. But Muldoon is a fucking awesome character. I'm not sure how he is in the book, but my God, is he awesome in this movie? This guy that's just like essentially the animal hunter. Like if things go south, he knows it. He has one of my other favorite lines. Obviously, we'll talk more about the scene in depth when we talk about scenes. And when he has that, the iconic line, "Clever gore," when he gets caught up on like he almost has that moment of like sheer like actual kind of like, "Oh wow, you fucking got me." Like
yeah, it's impressive. It's like a checkmate. He just accepts it.
Yeah, he knows like, well, shit. Okay, you got me on this one. But yeah, he's awesome. One more Goldblum line I want to point out real quick, because God, when we talk about scenes, we're going, boy, can I talk about these scenes. um, but obviously the other great Goldblum line just is when he's in the back of that damn car, and they have to get away because they can hear it, and they're like, shit, it's coming back, and you hear him must go faster, must go faster.
I love that Goldblum took that out of the box for Independence Day, threw it back in the movie as a little ad lib. It's become like a ongoing thing for him. It's great.
Yeah. I love how genuinely terrified he is in that scene. Like you can tell he's like, God damn it, no, get away.
Oh, yeah. This movie. All right, let's talk scenes. So
God, should we just go in order, or like how should we do this? Should we?
let's just shout out what we love. We'll probably like out of order go through the whole damn movie, but I want to start with my all-time favorite scene in this movie, and that is the death of Dennis Nedry.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
From this,
God, that thing used to freak me out as a kid, man.
Me too. Yeah, it wasn't so much like the frills or like the teeth. It was the fucking like black goo that it was. I didn't know what the hell that was. I thought it was acid or some shit. It scared the hell out of me. But Newman has stolen the embryos of the dinosaurs, put it in that Barbasol can. He's on his way to go meet Dodson, and he fucks up, drives off a cliff, tries to get the car back, and then we meet the Dilophosaurus, something like that. This little frilly lizard bastard, who is not attacking Nedry because his hood's up and the thing thinks it's one of him. It's like a bigger, it's got the hood. It doesn't realize it's meat yet. And then Nedry puts the hood down and the thing immediately does the fucking frilly attack, screech, which is scary as hell, and blasts him in the eyes with his.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, and what I love is in this film is like really like they do a good job of hammering this home is how everyone but our scientist characters, our lead characters, severely underestimate constantly these dinosaurs. You have Nedry who literally has the moment before that where he's like, "Hey, you see the stick? You see the stick? Catch the stick! Catch the stick!" And he knows, "Catch the stick, stupid!" And then he says that quick throw like, "No wonder you guys went extinct." Like he completely underestimates this thing. Obviously, Samuel Jackson when he goes to the shed doesn't think about the raptors at all because he's been there for God knows how long. He's like, "Oh, it's 3 minute walk. I'll be right back." Like shit just went down. The safety measures went down, and you guys are still just like, oh, it's lolly law. I'll just walk through the without realizing, hey, the dinosaurs are out, and some of them are carnivorous. Do you really want to be out there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's these things lived at a time millions of years before humanity. They were the dominant species on the planet. They had hunting tactics. They had patterns. They understood things. These are not giraffes and lions and shit. These are apex predators who know how to be. They're taking the island back basically. Uh, yeah, and
Yeah.
then I love that everyone who doesn't understand that gets bit in the ass, literally. Nedry gets back in the car, probably blind, and gets eaten by the thing sitting in his passenger seat. And in the book, holy fuck, is this a violent death? Uh, in the book, it does melt his eyes, whatever that shit was. It's like acid that eats away his fucking eyeballs. The thing rips his guts open and starts eating him guts first. He's alive for most of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oof.
I mean, it's like Dr. Grant told the kid, like the raptors, they'll gut you, but they will fucking make sure you're alive while they eat you. Like they take pride in what they're doing. Um, because again, they don't care that you're human. You're food. Hey, I got you, buddy. You're food. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this scene, like,
Yeah. Nedry screams of terror as he's being ripped open by that thing in the car, and then the Barbasol can just disappearing into nature. Satisfying, that's what you get.
oh yeah, yeah. I remember this scene as a kid used to be like probably the closest guy to terrifying me because like yeah, from the like that thing's fucking screams to like how Spielberg expertly makes sure we don't know it's in the car because you just see that quick scene where Nedry he would have probably been in it at first, but he bumps his head on top because he can't see and he falls. So more likely took the moment to get in at that point. Um,
Another detail I noticed, I watched Lost World immediately after because why not? And they mentioned at the beginning that there were there were three deaths at the park, and I'm thinking like, huh, Muldoon, Sam Jackson, the lawyer, and Nedry. That's four. But then I'm like, shit, they never found Nedry. The car went off course. I doubt there was a lot left after the meal. So I don't think they ever found him. So they just assumed three deaths.
probably, and they clearly never really liked this guy, so they're probably just like, okay, well,
No one
he's
looked
not really
for
much of a loss.
him. No one ever bothered to look for him because he was such an asshole.
Yeah, they were like, oh, fuck that guy. He probably died out there. Ah, yeah, I know that's a good scene. Dude, look, okay, if we're going to talk like start off with our favorite scenes, it to me, it's what I like to call the moment, the big moment. The cock stop getting teased in this movie, boys, and we get full handy. The T Rex busts out and attacks the car.
I don't
You're
know what the
welcome for
fuck you're
that.
talking about, but you clearly love this.
Yes. No, we get the big turning point where like the T Rex busts out and attacks the car and do everything about this damn scene. When Tim has the how they introduce it first, it's just mild, right? Just everything's okay. He's Dr. Grant's getting some water from the rain. He's a scientist. Um, and you're just like, all right, we're just kind of chilling until we get power back on. You see Tim messing with the night vision goggles, and he gets told to put them away, and then of course he's a kid, he grabs them right back and puts them back on. I love that line. Do they feel heavy? Yeah. Then that means they're expensive. Put them back. um, I was like, I kind of give the lawyer the credit on that one. Those things are probably fucking way too expensive. Um, But then I love how you finally get that hint. Other than obviously the stuff's not working, the goat's fucking gone. And I love that you see it, you're like, oh shit, the goat's gone. And I love that the jump scare of like, where's the goat? And you just see the legs slam onto the car, and then you see the T Rex's hand graze the fence. And dude, I'm telling you, when I was a kid, I was getting excited. I was like, oh, here we go. It's busting out, and then that beautiful shot of the you see all the strings coming down, the gates getting busted, T Rex getting ready to come out, and you get that beautiful shot of him just busting through the gates, does his war real quick, and you're like, oh my god. Um, yeah, God, everything from the lawyer running away to hide in the bathroom, and he left us, he left us, and then the guy's like, where's he going in such a hurry? Gotta go, you gotta go. Um, and I love turn the light off as they're messing with the flashlight, and the ray of the T-Rex just keeps coming at them, and it's doing everything it can to get to them. Oh yeah, the oh god, I could this fucking scene, man.
Before I comment, I just realized something. That's a bathroom on an automated tour. So anybody who gets out to use that bathroom, by the time they're done, the fucking cars are gone.
Yeah, I was like, does it stop there for playing like a planned break? And if so, I would be kind of terrified for it to stop at the T-Rex area for me to use the bathroom. Like, hey, if you need, by the way, here's the big ass T-Rex in full view. It hunts by sight. With that said, does anyone need to go use the bathroom? We got a 10-minute break right now.
I feel like, if you're in the bathroom and you're, trying to take a shit or something, and you just hear this, piercing roar, you're not gonna like your stomach problems are done. You're gonna be fine. Especially if I didn't know what I signed up for. And Dinosaur Island, but so far, all the dinosaurs are in the bushes. I haven't seen shit. I'm thinking this is the biggest waste of $10,000 I've ever made. And then you hear that.
Oh yeah, and then like again, they established that like T-Rex is hunted by sound, so it's like, do I go out there? Like, how were they thinking this was going to work? In all fairness, like it hunts by sight. So I said sound by sight. So like it pays attention to you the moment you're walking to and from the car, from the bathroom, from the bathroom to the car, and it's obviously can see you moving around the car because it goes extra hard on the kids trying to get at them.
It's gonna learn there's always when the cars are there, there's always gonna be some people in that bathroom. It's gonna know where the people are, and it's gonna remember that. So
Yeah,
not smart.
no, because again, the movie does I think, just a great job. Like I talked earlier about humans underestimating these creatures and showing that, hey, at one point these were apex. They, like you said, they knew how to hunt. They were smart. They were not dumb creatures.
Um, yeah, it's a hell of an introduction for one of cinema's greatest creatures. And I love when the head like falls through the sunroof and like almost crushes the kids, which was a complete accident. On like that wasn't supposed to happen. They lost control of
Yeah.
the like. Yeah, good.
So yeah, apparently, like they found out that with the animatronics, that rain made them heavier. Um, and they didn't know that at first. It was just the stuff used to do animatronics made it heavy. So yeah, when they did that scene, because I guess like the rain made it heavier, yeah, it just bust through the thing, and they went, "Oh shit!"
And the kids are like, "Oh my god!" Like they're freaking out because 12,000 pounds of dinosaur just fell on them. So yeah,
Oh yeah, they were actually terrified. Oh, yeah, dude. The thing, and one of my favorite scenes is like when she has the light to the window and you see its eye come down and look at them. Like, dude, that because I'm like, dude, that thing is looking at you. It knows you're in there. It is now figuring out how to get into that car to get to you. Um, or like when he has to like close the door and it just turns and looks at him. Oh,
yeah. Getting those cars open is like the equivalent of like ripping open a peanut shell to us. Like it wants the goodness inside. Um,
oh yeah. Oh, and then
I
obviously the water effect. We get that. We get the the boom of the water, it happens. You're like, oh shit, here he comes.
I remember I read that not only did water make the animatronics heavier, it also would activate them sometimes. So they could be having lunch and all of a sudden the fucking T-Rex would just start moving around and they'd be like, "Whoa, what? Ah!"
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then oh god, what else? Oh god, and then you get the fucking lawyer's death, which is like, oh my god. As a child, I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that part. Um, I just love it. Like he, all the shit falls behind, and he just looks, and I love how the T Rex looks at it from her. Like, I think I may have just found my lunch.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that's a fantastic scene and it ends with, Grant and the kids going over the fucking edge into the tree.
Oh, dude,
Uh
I love when he's like pulling like the kids out, and like you're like, okay, cool, he's getting the kids out, and all of a sudden she screams, and he just grabs her, and he's like, don't move, and you see all you see is the foot. You just see the foot hit the ground, and you're like, oh shit, the T Rex is back. It's done with his meal. And oh, that tense scene when it like gets up close and is sniffing them, and they have to stay perfectly still.
I love the shot of like the T-Rex's breath blowing off Grant's hat. It really makes it feel
Oh
real.
yeah, I would have
Uh,
fucking shit myself in that moment, man. I would have been like, oh god.
I wouldn't be able to stay still. That's for damn sure. Everything would be shaking. I'd be so
Yeah,
fucking terrified. Um, I love the introduction of the Raptors once shit goes down and the Raptors. First off, they hid Sam Jackson's arm back there for dramatic effect. How else did that get back there?
yeah. Oh yeah, they hit it for they. Hey, look, if anything, it makes me respect them more. They're about theatricality.
Yeah, these fuckers are. They're like it's like the meat tastes better when it's scared.
I love those ones like, are we just going to eat them? No, 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 no. We've worked very hard to get out of this cage. It tastes better when they're scared of us. Okay? Don't question me again, Steve. All right? We got this.
One of my favorite little details is when they're in the visitor center and Lex is trying to activate the door locks and Grant is like, Grant and Ellie are trying to keep the thing back from the open door. And you just see the things like claws come around the door and like latch onto the that was so fucking creepy.
Oh yeah, dude. When like they first get in that room and they're like, he looks down, he goes, "Huh, the locks don't work." Like he has that just that moment of just defeat. Like, of course the locks don't work. You know what I mean? From Sam No, he's like, the locks don't work. And as soon as he looks up, and all of a sudden the Raptor's just staring at him, and it's like, holy shit! All right, like, oh, it's such a good scene. But yeah, no, the oh, dude, this whole scene with Muldoon, I'm believe is the one you're talking about. This introduction. Oh my god.
It's full circle from what Grant was saying at the beginning about the way these things hunt. There's the one over there, keep looking at the birdie while the one from the right eats your face. And
Yes,
Muldoon
and what
forgot.
I love, you did, and what I love is you kind of see a little bit of his hunt. Like he walks, and they do that little shot of like the fucking thing's broken. They found a way to somehow from way high up get the hell out. Um, and I love when he's looking. They're like, "All right, we got to be careful because the Raptors are out, and there's a good chance they made it to the shed." I do love that scene when the part when he gets there and he looks at me and he goes, "We're being hunted," and I'm like, "Shit, Muldoon, on it, let's go." And I love when he's like, "When I say go, you run," and he's just like calmly getting his gun ready. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like, okay, let's go. And then yeah, like you said, he sees it, and then like the raptor just pokes his head out at him with a smile too. I like how it does that little twitch where it like smiles. I'm like, I got you, buddy.
Yeah. And then Muldoon just gets like, yeah, ripped open by that thing. Those things are scary. The whole scene in the
Mm.
kitchen where they're hunting the kids is fantastic. Uh yeah.
Dude, and but one of the few cases where they were actual people in suits for that scene. And then behind the scenes, they said yes, two other guys were in the scenes doing the stuff. The only part they CGI was when they were they jumped onto the counters because they weren't going to make them do that in those suits. Um,
Amazing
because
if
they
they
couldn't
pulled that
see.
off.
Yeah, they couldn't see as is, so they're like, we're not going to do that to you. We'll just CGI that part. It's fine. Um, yeah, no, oh god, everything about that scene is so good, and just again, Spielberg's expert craft in racking up the tension and how many close cars you see with those poor kids trying to get out of that, and you feel bad at this point because they've gone through so much, and then you see that the Raptors have gotten inside the building because no one bothered to, again, underestimating all these dinosaurs. No one thought about maybe we should lock the door so the Raptors don't get in.
They figure out how to open doors really quickly. Um, I I think Tim's probably going to have lifelong heart problems from getting very electrocuted, and then
Realistically, he should have died.
yeah, and then dealing with being chased by raptors. Like that kid's heart is hanging on by a thread. I hope he saw a doctor when he got out.
I hope so. He was limping at this point. Like one of his legs was pretty much shot.
Uh, I love when they're in the vents and like Lex falls through and the raptor like nearly gets her. Like,
Yeah.
every
Oh,
time that
so
makes me like, oh my god.
and I'm like, oh, gotta get out of that, dude. Everything about like really this entire climax in general when they're like trying to escape these raptors and you see them, with the T Rex, you could eventually learn its behavior and get out. These raptors, you can't. They're smart and they're learning you. And I love how this movie makes sure to show that expertly by the end. Also, again, when going back to the shed with Ellie, how they get her when like if that damn thing waits for the power to go on, and like she's like, "Oh, we did it." The hand comes up, and you see its head just bust through the pipes at her. Like, "Oh no, I'm here. I'm going to get you next."
In every single Jurassic Park movie, the raptors are like present in the best moments of the film, like all of them, because these things
Oh
are
yeah,
always like adaptable. I think it's cool that in the new ones they're like the good guys.
that was one of the better parts of the movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
neat
I did.
touch.
I'll say I do. My other two outside of like this first one, my raptor moments were always in Lost World with the tall grass scene. Dear God, what a scene! Just seeing them like go through and like jump on the beat, was like fucking hell. Um, and then in Jurassic World, the first one, when they send them out to go fight the Indominus Rex, and I always love that scene. They're like, "Hey, what are they doing? They're not attacking." And you see them all return, and Chris Pratt's character is like, "He's part raptor. They're coming for us," and they just start fucking hauling ass at them.
I love that. I love when in the end the T Rex and the Raptors team up to take down the Indominus. Love that. And then I love when
Yeah.
D'Onofrio is like in the middle of his speech and a raptor shows up and is like, rah! And he's like, oh shit. And then just gets taken out immediately because it's out of nowhere. He thinks he's home free. Oh,
Again,
yeah.
look, if you're working in an island filled with dinosaurs, lock the doors to the buildings when you go inside. Just lock them constantly. Then you know you're safe. And don't have windows. Just live it out. If they're going to have windows, very, very small, so a raptor can't get through. But you can still look outside.
I would if I lived in a world where raptor attacks were a possibility, I would just do everything in my power to avoid being in that situation and just not go to Dinosaur Island 1 or 2.
Yeah. Also, it would have been amazing if we had seen that play out in the modern day in Jurassic World Dominion, but apparently we don't want to get that because Colin Trevorrow was like, that's stupid. I don't want people to see that locust. Fuck you. That's where you set up, asshole. God, I hate that movie. God, I fucking hate that movie.
To be fair, John M. Chu set up. Was that the guy that said John M. Chu? No, wait, that's a different guy. Who am I thinking of?
J. A. J. A.
J.A.
Bayona.
Bayona. I get them mixed up all the time. I don't know why. But J.A.
But
Bayona set that up,
Trevor,
not Colin Trevorrow.
but Trevor was still a producer, so he was so actively involved with the story, and they were talking about that being the third film, which is yes, dinosaurs in present day, as in we're going to see more of what we got at the end of Lost World, but on an actual whole movie, and that's not what I got. I got Locust and three actors that looked like they were very sad with the movie they signed up for.
Got that weird Freddy Krueger looking dinosaur. That was pretty cool.
No,
Big with like big razor arms or whatever.
The dinosaur itself was lame, but it was a really good scene. That was like one of the few good scenes in a really shitty film.
I think I have more goodwill towards that movie because I got to see it for free. It's true.
You do. I walked. I don't think I've ever walked away more. Well, I've walked away pretty pissed from movies, but I walked away pretty pissed from that one.
I love that in the past couple, actually last year, two of your all-time favorite movies got fucked by a final entry that didn't give a shit about legacy at all. Jurassic Park and Halloween.
I just don't understand. Like you set the things up. You set them up. Follow through with the last film.
Yeah. And both are kind of the same deal. Like, no more dinosaurs, here's locusts. No more Michael, here's Corey.
Yeah, I'm like you want to do this after your setup trilogy you just did? Cool, fine, but don't fucking not give me what you set up for two films prior, bastards.
Well, that's all I've got for Jurassic Park. Those are my favorite scenes. And yeah, it's great. It's a fantastic movie. Anything else you want to shout
Yeah.
out?
Outside of I would say outside of like obviously a lot of the dinosaur scenes stuff we talked about when we are I do think a lot of the scenes with Hammond and them talking, like I said, when he's like trying to convince them on why they should like the island, all of them are like you know the whole you never ask if you should scene's great. And like I said, yes, the scene when him and Ellie's talking, and you get the flea circus bit where you said you get a little insight. I also really like the moment when like you see him kind of like she's breaking through a little bit, and he and you're like, oh okay, and then he does it. That's right. I'll put in more security points, and he goes, I'll spare no expense. It'll be foolproof, and this won't happen again. And I love her outburst. I love it when she's like, stop. Like, that's the mistake. We can't control this. That was our mistake. Like, I just, yeah, there's a lot of, like, outside of the obviously really just well crafted dinosaur scenes, there's a lot of just good moments between characters that work supremely well.
Something I realized upon this most recent viewing that I don't think I ever caught on to before. The hurricane is nature's way of fighting back against Hammond and InGen. That's nature
Yeah.
recalibrating the game here. I didn't realize that till just like till this watch, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right. That's God saying, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah, like, oh, you thought you would do this? Well, guess what? I'm gonna make sure they get out, and now you try to deal with them.
Hurricane,
When
bitch,
you
your move.
yeah, lots of times when you can't control these things. Oh God, I almost forgot. We already mentioned the kid with the, obviously him dealing with the kid. The opening shot, the opening scene in this film, the famous shoot her. What a fucking way to open the movie. I have always loved it. Where like they're trying to do the transport. And again, we like you said, the build up to these raptors and showing us how smart they are. This one knows a way to get a quick meal and knocks that dude down to get him in there. And God, I would hate to be a worker that day. God, I would hate to be that guy.
You imagine you're like a blue collar guy. You got a job at InGen doing some, I don't know, like loading dock job, and you get transferred to Costa Rica. You don't know why. And you get there, excuse me, and it's your job to load up the fucking dinosaurs. Like, what do? You got to deal with this moment of like, holy shit, they made dinosaurs and they want to eat me. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to handle that.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, obviously you got your brachiosauruses and your stegosauruses that are like, they don't want to eat me. I can do that. And then they're like, so we're transporting the raptors. I'd be like, I'm sorry, what? I heard those things like meat, and I'm meat. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, they were right in the like this movie wastes no time establishing what this is all about and what to expect, and that's good. Then we get the build up of meeting all the characters, and I love how presumptuous Hammond is when he goes into Grant and Ellie's trailer and like opens their champagne, and they're like, "We were saving that." And he's like, "Yep, for today." Like, okay, buddy,
Yeah,
rude.
yeah. I got good news for you, actually. Also should point out they definitely not only that, but also definitely bearing what happened to this worker because it's never mentioned. There's no like, oh, we're facing this lawsuit. It's like, no, we what worker? What worker died? No, worker didn't die here. Nope.
Well, remember at the beginning of Lost World where like Malcolm's entire life was destroyed because he spoke out against the NDA that he signed before he went to the island? Like, yeah, this company protects against any kind of potential lawsuit.
Oh yeah, I was like, interesting that we never talked about this worker who died just transporting a fucking velociraptor. Like, interesting. We're burying things, aren't we, Hammond? Um, but yeah, no, like I said, even this beginning stuff, like obviously, I'm mainly when you're a kid, like this stuff's like, all right, let's get to the dinosaurs. But like as you get older, you learn to appreciate this stuff more because it's really expert just character development and getting us where we need to be for the story. So, and like obviously, the iconic, welcome to Jurassic Park scene to give you that ooh and ah before things go down is amazing. And even the helicopter ride.
I love the foreshadowing in the helicopter ride about when Grant has the two same bits of seatbelt that he still manages to make a seatbelt out of. Life finds a way because that's what happens on Jurassic Park with all female dinosaurs. They still find a way to make it work.
Yep. And if you notice the two ends he has, or what we would call female ends.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a civilian term. I know in the Navy that's what we call all stuff, male female ends.
No, it makes sense.
You get yeah.
There's the dick of the seatbelt and there's the vagina of the seatbelt. We all understand that.
Yeah, I'm about to say it makes sense if you look at it. And if you don't get what I mean, well, look at a seatbelt. You know what I mean. Um, and they're very clearly the female ends that he has, both ends, and sure enough, he finds a way. He ties them together.
Yeah,
And then
very
you could almost say, not only is it foreshadowing the film, it might even be in a progressive in a way for 1990s. I don't know.
well, I think that about wraps it up on our scenes for Jurassic Park. It is hard to not just gush over the whole movie. It's fantastic. But not everybody agrees. Amazingly, there are quite a lot of people on Letterboxd who fucking hate this movie. There's always the most critically acclaimed film has its haters, and it really makes me laugh to see them because some of them are so unjustified. It's ridiculous. But let's take a look at some of them on our final segment here. What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Jurassic Park, 4.1 out of 5. That's fucking phenomenal. But I have 3 horrifically negative reviews and 2 positive ones. Some of these are just like, my God. All right, this first one's from Eden the One. Don't get all the hype. They're just fucking dinosaurs. Never watched any of the movies. Half a star.
Why are you commenting if you haven't watched the movies?
It's my favorite kind of idiot. There's always one. It's like, I would never watch this. Half a star. It's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah, why are you here? And then don't get the well, okay, so obviously you're also, ignorant because it's not the dinosaurs, it's how they achieve the dinosaurs, dumbass.
Yeah.
That
And also, of
gets all
course,
the
you don't
hype.
get the hype. You didn't watch the movie. That'll help.
Yeah, like you didn't watch it. Don't get the it's like if I was like if like, I don't get the hype of Doja Cat, but I haven't listened to her music. Well, no shit, I'm not listening to her music to understand the hype.
What's a Doja Cat?
God, you are just so behind the times.
Apparently, I don't. Is that like a
Female,
candy bar? Or like, what is it?
it's a female hip hop artist,
Ah,
like a Tay Tay. Well,
what's
not
a
like a
Tay?
Tay Tay. Doja Cat.
What's a Tay Tay?
Taylor Swift. Taylor
Oh yeah,
Swift, dude.
that's right.
Jesus,
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
If I don't care about it, I don't care about it. That's just how it works for me. Uh,
Oh.
okay,
Next review.
this one didn't make any sense to me. Maybe you can find out what the hell they're trying to say here. This is from Real OJ Simpson, and I hope to God it is, but it probably isn't.
If it is, he did it.
Those raptors were innocent. They weren't even wearing gloves. No, that's not what it is. Uh, that's not what it says.
Not that
Okay.
I would know how to do it, but if this is how I would do it.
If I was a velociraptor, this is how I would have killed these people. No. Okay, this is what they really said. Absolutely terrible. 2 hours of bestiality. Also, does that mean dinosaurs are real? I thought they were mythical. Well, I don't recall any bestiality, but I don't know. Maybe you watched a different movie than I did. Did you watch Jurassic
You
Pork by
probably
accident?
watched Jurassic Jurassic Pork, the Lost Pork, Jurassic. It sounds like he watched the porno version. Or he's
Are the
assuming
ports
that the reason
in the porno version? Is it like are the dinosaurs fucking the people?
I doubt they're even actually dinosaurs. If it's anything like the hills have thighs, they weren't really mutants.
I hope Stan Winston did the effects for the porno, and it's like the most realistic dinosaurs just banging away at people.
God, that would actually be kind of. I kind of want to watch it just to see. um,
But yeah, weird. Also, this
look,
person thought
yeah,
dinosaurs weren't real. They thought they were like dragons and unicorns.
yeah. So for the first part here, he watched the porn version and is mixing it up, or he legitimately assumes that they're fucking the dinosaurs to make more. Because they did say they're all female, which if that he thinks that that's horrifying. I don't know what he thinks they're doing with a T-Rex or Velociraptor behind closed doors. Um, and I'm going to say no human is I don't think any male on Earth is hung enough for a fucking T-Rex. Anyway, so just putting that out there. To answer the second part, is he one of those? Is he religious and assuming that the Earth was created by God and that dinosaurs weren't real? It's just all a conspiracy. Is this type of dude?
I mean, the only people I ever hear constantly talking about bestiality are uber Christians, which is weird. So maybe,
That's what I'm saying. Like, is this the type of dude? Because like, is he also like literally sitting there in the face of fucking dinosaur bones, going, "Ha, fake."
Yeah, dork. Real OJ Simpson. Go figure yourself out.
Figure yourself out, and if you are OJ, just confess, dude. We know you did it.
This one pissed me off. This is from the Rogue Critic, whose profile picture is just an aggressive red thumbs down, which tells me I think they just go across to critically acclaimed movies and just write negative reviews because there are people who do that for fun.
Those are the
Plot,
guys that sit in the corner of the party and like criticize everybody at the party that they're fucking at.
yeah, that kind of person, but on Letterboxd. Plot is fairly clear.
Oh boy.
Premise is quite good and unique, if far-fetched. Okay. Good soundtrack. Script and some dramatic moments can be very on the nose. Good story flow. Malcolm is a dumb character. Has many action and plot conveniences, especially in third act. Has heavy Spielbergian execution and tropes. Possibly Spielberg's best film. What? Which unfortunately suffers due to content and aforementioned weaknesses. Half a star. Spielberg's best film, half a star. And apparently, this isn't quite realistic enough for the Rogue Critic.
Did he suck his own dick afterwards after typing that? 'Cause that's what I get the feeling.
During. He's very coordinated. That's so weird.
So far-fetched. What?
I don't like the word Spielbergian either. Pretentious.
Yeah, like I hate everything about that review, especially the far. I'm like, dude, you're watching a film about them creating, and they have actually proven that we are close, if not there, having the ability to create dinosaurs. Like, what do you mean far-fetched? We can clone, for Christ's sakes.
And also, most of this review is positive. Plot is fairly clear. Premise quite good and unique. Good soundtrack. Like, good story flow. Possibly Spielberg's best film. And all that adds up to half a star for his best film? Christ, what does he think of the rest?
Yeah, I don't know. This guy sucks. Fuck this guy.
That sucks. Fuck this guy indeed. All right, time for the two positives. Both of these are 5 stars.
Oh, thank God. That last one hurt.
It
Yes.
did. You're gonna like this one. This is from Vinny Sims. Timmy, you little shit, just climb through the fucking fence. You're like 3 feet tall, you fucking idiot.
I can get being scared. Tim went through a lot, but even I was like, Tim, the electricity's about to turn on, buddy. You need to move like now.
Yeah, but before that, when there is no, impending danger, just climb through he fit through those big fence holes. He would have fit through that.
He would have been fine. I do like when Sam Jones like, all right, Tim, on 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that was bad. That was terrible, Grant. Like you didn't make sure he registered what you just said. You just said it and went right into it as if he was going to do it immediately, like a dog.
My favorite Alan Grant moment in the entire franchise is when he grabs that fence and scares the shit out of the kids. It's so unnecessary. They are dealing with a lot of real shit. That is not the time to fake an electrocution.
Right? Oh, I love that he does that to them. I mean, he generally thought it was hilarious.
It is so
I do like when
such poor taste.
It's so good. I do like when the T-Rex is attacking that herd, and he's like, all right, we're just gonna crawl away, stay low, follow me, and Tim doesn't move, and all the blood. You just see him come back like Tim, and grab him to get him moving. I'm like, no, dude.
All right, this last one, I think we can all agree with this. This is from Benjamin Rosser, also 5 stars. Dear straight men, yes, it is okay to be attracted to Jeff Goldblum in this movie. It doesn't mean you're gay. It just means you're alive. Damn right. Goldblum just seductively sitting up, his shirt open, like he's posing for a Playgirl calendar, is pretty damn hot. I will admit that. As soon as Caleb gets a hold of himself, I'm sure he will comment as well.
I will. It is really funny because he gets destroyed by that. He would be really hurt. But he has time in per 90s just cinema fashion, for being honest, to pose with his shirt open in the camera showing everything. You like?
It's so odd, but only he could do that. And I
Oh
believe
yeah.
it.
What I love is it's become iconic. You see memes on that now. It's the scene has lived on.
My favorite one is they took the image of Grant with his head on the Triceratops and moved that to Goldblum. So his head's on Goldblum's stomach. It's so funny. Yeah. Enough said.
Yeah, he makes a fair point.
Yeah.
Well, that means you're alive.
Well, that wraps it up for Jurassic Park. This was fun. I'm glad we decided to do this instead of the other film we were going to do. Which I should I reveal what that was?
I don't care.
Fine. We were going to do Live and Let Die, another Bond film, but we decided to do Jurassic Park instead.
Yeah, I was a little more excited to Jurassic Park than I think would have been the third Bond film for this year, second, third, I can't remember.
For this year? No. I don't think so.
Yeah, we've done another Bond film this year. Yeah.
I think we did the Living Daylights, but that was it, right? I don't think we did any other ones this year.
I thought we did another Roger Moore one. I remember watching another Roger Moore one at one point.
On Beyond the Bad, we did do Octopussy. Was that this year too? God, it's been a long year.
Yeah. So
well,
not
I
that
think they're spaced out enough that you're spaced out enough. You would have been fine.
Yeah, it's more like there's only so much I can say on the James Bond franchise.
Well, Regrettably, you're the only other one on the team who has seen all of them. So when we're doing Bond, I'm coming to you.
I know. I've seen every single one.
This was a blast. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through the socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You search for me at Connor95, and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that letterbox. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and all donations go right back into the show. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions. Thanks to Cooley Cow for our awesome theme music. Thanks to you for checking it out. Next week, we start our Christmas list with an undisputed action classic that's celebrating 35 years this year. Terrorists have taken over Nakatomi Plaza, and only off-duty NYPD cop John McClane can stop them. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, we're doing Die Hard. Can't wait.
And yes, it's a Christmas movie. I accept no other answer in that argument.
Well, yeah, I don't know why people debate that. If you watch it at Christmas, if Christmas is in the movie, it's a Christmas movie. That's it. That's the only argument.
Literally, the whole plot line is he is trying to visit his kids on Christmas. In time for Christmas. It takes place during Christmas. They're having a Christmas party at Nakatomi Tower before, shit goes south.
Yeah. If you don't want to watch Die Hard at Christmas, don't watch Die Hard at Christmas, but stop trying to force your twisted, backwards, ancient beliefs on the rest of us.
Yeah. We've accepted Die Hard as a Christmas movie. It's fine. Just like horror has a bunch of Christmas horror films, action has Die Hard.
I have accepted Bruce Willis as my Lord and Savior. Why haven't the rest of you? It's a badass movie. Never gets old. It's going to be so much fun. And yeah, I can't wait. Die Hard's the fucking bomb. In the meantime, don't clone any dinosaurs. Take it easy. Keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.